On the way down the mountain, Sun Chang'an's body stiffened. His steps were very unnatural. On the way down the mountain, Sun Chang'an's body stiffened. His steps were very unnatural. The two golden crows were on his shoulders. He was truly afraid. If the two of them accidentally ignited the true sun flame, he would instantly be a goner. Passing halfway up the mountain, Yang Tiandong, who was cultivating, asked curiously, "Junior, where are you going?" "Master said that there's a promising talent at the foot of the mountain and asked me to bring him up," Sun Chang'an answered truthfully. Yang Tiandong frowned slightly. "Another disciple? No. This time, I want to take in a disciple too." Yang Tiandong coveted Morong Qi and Fang Liang's potential. He also wanted such disciples. "I'll go with you." Of course. Sun Chang'an wasn't stupid. He could guess what Yang Tiandong was thinking, but he didn't care. To be honest, he really did not want to accept a disciple. He felt useless. His disciples were also taught by his master anyway. His disciples clearly respected his master more. If one day, Hanju asked Morong Qi and Fang Liang to kill him, he believed that these two brats would definitely not hesitate. The fellow disciples arrived at the foot of the mountain with their own thoughts. Sun Chang'an opened the formation and called the three-headed Wrm king in. The other disciples looked at the Wrm with envy and jealousy. The three-headed Wrm king saw the two fire ravens on Sun Chang'an's shoulders, and its heart beat wildly. The two little golden crows stared at it with hostility. "What birds are these? Making me afraid." The three-headed Wrm king's heart churned. In this mortal world, this was the first time he had encountered a creature whose bloodline made him shiver. Most importantly, Yang Tiandong and Sun Chang'an were so weak. How did they obtain these two mysterious fire ravens? "May I ask who is the deity-slaying elder?" the three-headed Wrm king asked cautiously. Sun Chang'an said expressionlessly, "The deity-slaying elder is our master. You're not qualified to see him." Yang Tiandong smiled and said, "Don't worry, Junior. Master wants us to bring you up. He definitely thinks highly of you." For more, visit Light Novel World. The two's attitudes were completely different, making the three-headed Wrm king extremely confused. The three-headed Wrm king could only suppress his doubts and follow the two up the mountain. The two little golden crows kept staring at him, making him extremely uncomfortable. Before long, they arrived at the top of the mountain. When the three-headed Wrm king saw the fusang tree, it was immediately stunned. This was definitely what he was looking for. The three-headed Wrm king suppressed his excitement. He noticed a black chicken perched on the fusang tree, and a white dog under the tree. These are the deity-slaying elder's beast pets? From today onwards, you will cultivate under the tree. As for whether you can become my disciple, that will depend on your performance. After saying this, Sun Chang'an walked to the edge of the cliff and looked up at the sky. His back was extremely desolate, like a beaten dog. In the past few years, he would always think of Qianer, causing him to be unable to concentrate on cultivation. The tribulation cast by the divine Buddha was not something that a mortal heart could withstand. The three-headed Wrm king walked to the fusang tree and sat down. The two little golden crows climbed up the tree again and continued to stare at him. Yang Tiandong sat beside him and started chatting with him. As a senior, Yang Tiandong began to describe his experiences over the years, wanting to make the three-headed Wrm king worship him. Although the three-headed Wrm king was very unhappy, he still had to endure. The more he listened, the more disdainful he became. Demon King Diansu, a coward from the north of the Great Yen? The three-headed Wrm king was restless. He wanted to seize the fusang tree, but he didn't know the deity-slaying elder's cultivation level, so he was very hesitant. Logically speaking, if he could raise the two mysterious fire ravens, this deity-slaying elder must be very strong. "I'll wait for a while," the three-headed Wrm king sighed in his heart. Several years later, in the cave abode, 3 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. "Detected that you are already 700 years old. You have taken another step forward in life. You have the following choices. 1. Leave seclusion immediately and become the number 1 in the world. You can obtain a numinous treasure." This content is taken from Light Novel World. 2. Continue cultivating and surpass the Mahayana realm as soon as possible. You can obtain a heavenly Tao spirit stone. Hanju didn't hesitate and chose to continue cultivating. The heavenly Tao spirit stone was not bad. It could strengthen Dharma treasures. Hanju took out the heavenly Tao spirit stone and selected the Book of Misfortune. The Book of Misfortune was the only Dharma treasure that could remotely harm the enemies of the upper world. It was worth strengthening. Several days later, it successfully fused with the heavenly Tao spirit stone. Your Book of Misfortune has been upgraded from a Supreme Grade Grand Unity Numinous Treasure to a Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. The Book of Misfortune is a Karma Dharma treasure. Please use it cautiously. Grand Unity Supreme Treasure? Hanju raised his eyebrows and suddenly regretted his choice. Would the Book of Misfortune hurt him instead? Hanju carefully used the Book of Misfortune and cursed Taoist Juyin. He didn't dare to use too much spirit energy. He wanted to test the effect first. 7 days later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune because he noticed that his lifespan had decreased by dozens of years. It seemed that he couldn't use it for more than 7 days at once, or his lifespan would be shortened. He clicked on his interpersonal link to check his emails. Your disciple Feng Liang was attacked by demon beasts X97884. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by a fiendish cultivator X170210. Your grand disciple Morong Qi has barged into the demon abyss. His fate is unknown. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou has absorbed the soul of a ghost deity and transformed his providence. Your good friend Zhou Fan is being hunted by 10 sections. He's condensing his killing intent. Your Tao companion Xing Hongxian has comprehended an ancient breathing technique. Your good friend Chang Yuer has comprehended an ancient breathing technique. Your enemy Taoist Juyin had his lifespan reduced by 10,000 years because of your curse, giving birth to mental demons. Your grand disciple Feng Liang accidentally entered the heavenly immortal manor's forbidden land and consumed the 10,000-year sacred fruit. His cultivation potential has increased by leaps and bounds. Hanju was amused when he saw Taoist Juyin's outcome. He felt that he could curse him to death. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm losing several decades of lifespan could reduce Taoist Juyin's lifespan by 10,000 years. Too ridiculous. However, Hanju did not want to take the risk. Although he had a lifespan of more than 100,000 years, if he kept doing this, he would eventually harm himself. Next time, he could only curse for 6 days at most, no more than that. He would slowly grind Taoist Juyin and the vermilion bird to death. Hanju thought proudly. He placed his attention outside the cave abode. The three-headed Wrm king was still cultivating under the Fusang tree with Yang Tiandong beside him. All these years, the three-headed Wrm king had been very well behaved. Hanju decided to tell him the truth. Go out and call the new kid in. You'll come back in when he's out, Hanju instructed. Tao Comprehension Sword immediately stood up and left. After hearing Tao Comprehension Sword's message, the three-headed Wrm king felt inexplicably nervous. Yang Tiandong patted his shoulder and smiled. The opportunity is here. Master wants to impart his mystical power to you. The three-headed Wrm king secretly despised him, but on the surface, he chuckled and nodded. He carefully entered the cave abode. Boom! The cave abode's stone door closed, making the Wrm even more nervous. The three-headed Wrm king knelt down in front of Hanju. The moment he saw Hanju, he was stunned. What a handsome man. It was his first time seeing such a beautiful face. TSK, what am I thinking? The three-headed Wrm king felt as if he had been infected by Yang Tiandong. His mind was no longer normal. With that thought, he hated Yang Tiandong even more. Hanju said expressionlessly, Three-headed Wrm king, 6th level of the Mahayana realm. I'll give you 2 choices now. 1. Become a mountain guardian on my cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain. You can cultivate under the divine tree. 2. Die. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. The three-headed Wrm king suddenly raised his head and looked at him in shock. He knows my identity and cultivation level. He knows my identity and cultivation level. How can this be? The three-headed Wyrm King's heart churned. He had an innate mystical power that allowed him to hide his cultivation level and true body. Why was he still discovered by the deity-slaying elder? What did that mean? It meant that the other party was far stronger than him. Hanju spoke very calmly and didn't seem to be bluffing. The three-headed Wyrm King had a feeling that if he stood up, he would definitely be killed. There wasn't even a chance to escape. Hanju stared at him expressionlessly, waiting for his answer. As long as the three-headed Wyrm King dared to say no or flee, he would die. The Fusang tree was already exposed. News of this divine tree could not be spread. Hanju wasn't afraid of offending the true dragon behind the three-headed Wyrm King. Dragons were passionate and liked spreading their seeds. Who knew how many descendants there were? The three-headed Wyrm King gritted his teeth and asked, "Who exactly are you, senior?" Hanju said, "I come from the 6 paths of reincarnation. I don't enter the 5 elements or fall into reincarnation." The three-headed Wyrm King didn't know what he was saying, but it sounded impressive. He still hesitated. Was he going to be a watchdog now? Hanju asked, "Do you think I'm scaring you? If not, you can receive my finger attack. If you can survive, you should give up." "No, no, no." The three-headed Wyrm King hurriedly waved his hands, almost frightened to death. He immediately lowered his head and gritted his teeth. "From now on, I, the three-headed Wyrm King, will be Senior's mountain guardian. As long as I live, the mountain will remain." Hanju got up and came in front of him. He raised his hand to touch his head and secretly placed the 6 paths insignia. "You won't suffer if you follow me. This will be the greatest opportunity in your life," Hanju said softly. The three-headed Wyrm King hurriedly thanked him. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Combat. No favorability appeared. Great. I still have to observe you later. If I sense anything wrong, I'll kill you, Hanju thought silently. Then, he had the three-headed Wyrm King leave the cave abode. He transmitted his voice to the 2 little golden crows as he stared at the Wyrm. The little golden crow yearned to eat the three-headed Wyrm King. But the three-headed Wyrm King didn't do anything bad and didn't develop any hatred towards him. Hanju felt that he could nurture it. When he surpassed the vermilion bird and ascended, he would definitely have to take the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain with him. At that point, his disciples and grand-disciples might also reach the threshold of ascension. The stronger the power of the immortal mountain, the better. The three-headed Wyrm King returned to the Fusang tree. Yang Tiandong asked in surprise, "So fast?" The moment he saw Yang Tiandong, the three-headed Wyrm King became annoyed. He said with a snort, From now on, I'm the mountain guardian of Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain." Mountain guardian? That's right. I'm a three-headed Wyrm King, at the 6th level of the Mahayana realm. I'm not pretending anymore. Get lost. What? Yang Tiandong was shocked. The Black Hell Chicken, Dao Comprehension Sword, Sun Chang'an, and the Chaotic Heavenly Dog looked at him in surprise. The Wyrm's head suddenly split into 3, scaring Yang Tiandong so much that he tumbled away. Upon seeing his reaction, the three-headed Wyrm King was overjoyed. "Demon King Dian, Su was as weak as you when facing me," the three-headed Wyrm King said proudly. Yang Tiandong felt extremely ashamed and wished that he could find a hole to hide in. Hanju witnessed everything in the cave abode and didn't say anything. He was very satisfied that the three-headed Wyrm King had revealed his identity. At the very least, it meant that the Wyrm did not care about his reputation. Furthermore, it could also make others wary of him. Hanju entered his cultivation state again. Inside a Taoist temple, sandalwood fragrance pervaded the air like immortal mist. An old Taoist cultivating in meditation suddenly spat out blood and became dispirited. He opened his eyes and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. With a sinister expression, he gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it! Who cursed me?" How many years had it been? The mysterious curse had only grown stronger. He couldn't even remember how many times he had been cursed. That's right. He was Taoist Juyan, the master of Great Sage Green Python, Luo Qiuma's master, and Hanju's enemy. Although Taoist Juyan was cursing, He was even more fearful. The other party was definitely an almighty figure. The recent curse had even begun to affect his Tao foundation. How could that be? If this continued, would he be cursed to death? Taoist Juyin gritted his teeth. He took out a jade slip from his sleeve and poured his spirit energy into it. After a while, a figure rose from the jade slip. His entire body emitted a green glow, making it impossible to see his true appearance and clothes. What is it? Senior, I've been cursed. Let me calculate. Taoist Juyin waited uneasily. The green figure said in surprise, I can't even deduce it. Have you offended anyone? Taoist Juyin felt wronged and said, Ever since I ascended, I've been in seclusion. How can I offend anyone? How strange, the green figure muttered to himself. Taoist Juyin was even more terrified. If even this senior couldn't figure it out, wouldn't he be dead? Recently, the heavenly court was attacked by a demon saint. The devil race took the opportunity to disturb many mortal worlds. You have just ascended for thousands of years. It might be related to the providence in the mortal world. At most, it will take 1,000 years. When the heavenly court recovers, it will cleanse the forces of the demons in the mortal realm. Some of the mortal worlds have been corroded by the devil race. When the time comes, we have to clean it up. I will use this opportunity to make you a heavenly soldier. Seize the opportunity well. The azure figure spoke. His words surprised Taoist Juyin. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. Taoist Juyin immediately said. The mortal world I lived in was invaded by the devil race. I was planning to descend into the mortal world a few hundred years later to take a look. It's good to descend into the mortal world and understand the situation. When the time comes, I can provide information to the heavenly court. The azure figure vanished. Taoist Juyin carefully put the jade slip away. Damn devils, how dare they curse me? Taoist Juyin thought hatefully that when he descended to the mortal world, he would definitely destroy their plot. Spring passed and autumn came. 11 years passed quickly. Hanju successfully broke through to the 6th level of the Mahayana realm. On this day, Feng Liang returned. The Black Hell Chicken, the Chaotic Heavenly Dog, Sun Chang'an, Morong Qi, Dao Comprehension Sword, and Yang Tiandong surrounded him. Feng Liang had actually reached the Void Amalgamation realm. Everyone was shocked. Morong Qi was stuck at the 9th level of the Soul Formation realm. He thought that his progress was already ridiculous, but he didn't expect Feng Liang to be even more exaggerated. The Black Hell Chicken was depressed. What it had been worried about had finally happened. It was very likely that it could not defeat the combined forces of Feng Liang and Morong Qi. Sun Chang'an was also depressed. He had finally been left behind by his disciple. Yang Tiandong's envy turned into jealousy. He also wanted such a disciple. The Chaotic Heavenly Dog was dumbfounded. Even the ugly monk's disciple is stronger than me? I've encountered many opportunities in the past few years. That's why I'm in my current realm. Feng Liang smiled humbly, but it was obvious that he had changed. He was more confident than before. The three-headed Wirem king was disdainful. A mere cultivator at the Void Amalgamation realm could shock them so much? The two little golden crows suddenly landed on Feng Liang's shoulders and rubbed themselves against his face affectionately. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Calm Feng Liang asked curiously. These two are? The Black Hell Chicken smiled slyly. I gave birth to them. Previously, Master caught a fire raven for me. Before it could finish speaking, the two little golden crows turned to look at it, scaring it so much that it dared not speak. Junior, long time no see. Why don't we join forces to fight the Black Hell Chicken? Junior, long time no see. Why don't we join forces to fight the Black Hell Chicken? Morong Qi winked. He couldn't stand the chicken's posturing. Feng Liang smiled. Sure. Even after so many years, the Black Hell Chicken was still so contemptible. The Black Hell Chicken yawned and pretended not to hear them. Everyone sat down and started chatting. Feng Liang recounted his experiences over the years. He fought demons, devils, and ghosts. Now, he had become a genius of the heavenly immortal manner. He was extremely famous. The three-headed Wirem king pretended not to care. But in reality, it was also eavesdropping. This kid's talent is so terrifying? The three-headed Wyrm king was secretly shocked. The deity-slaying elder has such talented people under him? It seemed that other than Yang Tiandong, everyone else was very talented. At the same time, a line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Three-headed Wyrm king has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability. 2 stars. Hanju felt that there was something wrong with the three-headed Wyrm king. There was something wrong with his head. This favorability came out of nowhere. Hanju didn't care too much. He was also eavesdropping on Fang Liang's experience. If Su Qi was the male protagonist of a rags-to-riches Xinxia novel, then Fang Liang was in a self-fulfillment fantasy. In the past few years, the number of times he had been severely injured could be counted on one hand. Most of the time, he had been rampaging everywhere, and opportunities had been presented to him one by one. Everyone sighed. Fang Liang was really impressive. Even Morongqi was impressed. Several hours later, Fang Liang stood up and went to visit Hanju. After entering the cave abode, Fang Liang knelt in front of Hanju. He was very excited, and even had the urge to cry. Hanju smiled and said, "How does this training feel?" "Visit Light Novel World. Come for a better experience," Fang Liang said excitedly. "I finally understand Grandmaster's good intentions. Such training has indeed transformed me. I became a genius in the heavenly immortal manner, and felt that I had already obtained all the opportunities one could. There was no need for any more opportunities, so I came back. I still want to cultivate in front of Grandmaster, and cultivate the great Tao." After reaching the void amalgamation realm, Fang Liang indeed had no requirement for fortuitous encounters. Currently, he had cultivation techniques, mystical powers, spells, treasures, and so on. He only needed to constantly accumulate cultivation. The two chatted for a long time. Fang Liang left, and went to the Fusang tree to find a spot to meditate. Tao Comprehension Sword returned to the cave abode, and looked at Hanju. "Master, do you think I should go out and train?" Fang Liang's experience made everyone excited. They also wanted to obtain various opportunities. Hanju asked, "Why do you want to train? You can obtain opportunities by training." "What's the use of opportunities? I can become stronger." "What's the point of becoming stronger?" "To protect Master. I need your protection." Tao Comprehension Sword thought about it carefully. He seemed to be right. She tilted her head and asked, "Then what's the meaning of my existence, Master?" Hanju said seriously, "Companionship. You only need to cultivate steadily, and keep up with everyone's pace." Tao Comprehension Sword couldn't help but be overjoyed when she heard that. Her smile became even more beautiful. In Hanju's opinion, as long as Tao Comprehension Sword cultivated in peace, she would become an immortal sooner or later. There was no need to go out and explore. Besides, not everyone's training had the same effect. There was only one Fang Liang in this world. In the end, no one suggested training to Hanju, especially the Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog. They were truly afraid. They dared not go out again. Cultivating on the immortal mountain was not too boring. When they had nothing to do, they could chat, discuss, and even fight. Hanju even allowed them to wander around the intersect city. That was already very good. At the same time, his disciples and divine pets were worried. They were worried that Hanju would ascend. With the strength he displayed, he was not far from ascending. What would they do when he ascended? Under Morongqi's call, everyone decided to cultivate hard and strive to ascend with Hanju. Hanju had a better impression of Morongqi after this. Not only was Morongqi talented and heroic, but he also had the ability to lead. Not bad, not bad. As expected of the former divine palace war god. As a god of war, not only was his cultivation strong, but he was also the commander of an army. 19 years later, Hanju broke through to the 7th level of the Mahayana realm. His calm heart finally stirred. 7th level of the Mahayana realm. He was close to the upper limit. At most, it would take him 20 years to cross a minor realm. Perhaps, he would surpass the Mahayana realm in 50 years. Awesome. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse Vermilion Bird. He had tested that as long as the curse did not last more than 6 days, it would not consume his lifespan. He pulled up his interpersonal relationships and checked his emails. Your good friend Mo Fujo was attacked by righteous cultivators, X5427. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X74200. Your good friend Ji Xianxian has gained enlightenment of the grand unity mystical power, causing a huge commotion. Your good friend Huang Jihao has condensed the heart of the sword. His sword intent is extraordinary. Your good friend Taoist Nine Cauldrons was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X743. Your pet black hell chicken has awakened the mystical power of its previous life. Your enemy Vermilion Bird has developed a mental demon because of your curses. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Apart from Mo Fujo and Zhou Fan, who were brothers in adversity, the others had been attacked several times. Hanju glanced at them. Most of them were news of opportunities. He was puzzled. Have these friends been on steroids all these years? For some reason, Hanju felt a strong sense of uneasiness. Something was wrong. As a Mahayana realm cultivator, premonitions were often real. This was his comprehension of the heavenly Tao. No, I have to ask my good brother. Hanju started to comprehend sword intent. His reincarnation sword intent had not been upgraded yet. It was great timing now. A month later, strange phenomena appeared in the sky. The cultivators of the world were very calm, but the mortals were surprised. To mortals, decades were a lifetime. It was a rare phenomenon. Hanju came to the Sword Dao River again, and quickly arrived in front of Zhang Guxing. What do you want to ask this time? Ever since Hanju started to frequently appear, Zhang Guxing would occasionally wonder when that brat would come. He even suspected that he was ill. Senior, recently many people with great providence have appeared in our mortal world, and they all obtained opportunities during the same time. Do you think this is reasonable? Hanju asked. Zhang Guxing said, it's normal for there to be people with great providence in the mortal world. There are also many with great providence in the upper world. However, those with great providence are not equivalent to experts. Experts might not necessarily have great providence. You might be overthinking this. Hanju frowned. But I feel uneasy. As Zhang Guxing hesitated for a moment and said, there's indeed a possibility. People experience terminal lucidity, and so does the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao in the mortal world might have sensed that trouble is about to descend. This is the heavenly Tao's act of saving itself. There's trouble in the mortal world? Hanju felt even more uneasy. Zhang Guxing continued, now that I think about it, I understand something. It might be related to the invasion of the devil race. The heavenly court might want to purge them for good. At that time, the immortals and gods would descend into the mortal world. If the devil race has taken over, and the demonic path prevails, the heavenly court might directly destroy this mortal world. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Platform. Although the heavenly Tao is bound by rules, never think too simply of it. Destroy the mortal world? Destroy the mortal world? Hanju was shocked. So vicious? He quickly asked, can heavenly court still be considered as heavenly court by doing this? They could easily destroy an entire mortal world. It was simply inhumane. So what? There are tens of thousands of mortal worlds. Destroying one mortal world won't cause much of a stir in the upper world. Besides, if the mortal world is destroyed, all living beings can still enter the 6 paths of reincarnation and be reincarnated. Think about it, how many races have the mortals wiped out? When mortals think about the heavenly court, they shouldn't think of themselves as the main focus. Zhang Guxing waved his hand, feeling that Hanju's idea was a little ridiculous. Hanju felt that it made sense. To put it bluntly, it was still survival of the fittest. Whoever set the rules had the final say. Hanju asked, how long until the heavenly court cleans up the devils? As Zhang Guxing replied, it can be as short as a few hundred years, or as long as a few thousand years. The forces behind the demon saint are about to reach an agreement with the heavenly court. Unfortunately, that demon saint is still kept in the dark. Hanju's expression turned strange, and he asked, is that demon saint the great sage rivaling heaven, Sun Wukong? No. Oh. For a second, Hanju thought that he had come to the world of Journey to the West. The two of them exchanged some pleasantries before Hanju continued forward. After his consciousness returned to his main body, Hanju consolidated his understanding of the reincarnation sword intent. The reincarnation sword intent had also successfully been raised to the grand unity level. His strength could only be said to be more comprehensive, and the intensity of his attacks had not increased. He still had to raise his cultivation level. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. After consolidating his sword intent, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse Vermilion Bird and Taoist Jian. No matter what he achieved, he couldn't forget his true goal and enemies. 12 days later, Hanju continued cultivating. The pressure brought by the heavenly court was immense. Hanju hadn't felt such pressure for a long time. During this time, he brought Feng Liang into the cave abode. The heavenly court of the upper world is preparing to hunt down the devils. Our mortal world has been invaded by the devils, and we will likely be treated as a subsidiary force of the devils by the heavenly court. We will be wiped out, and all the living beings in the world will be slaughtered. We will be reincarnated after death. If you want to avoid this calamity, you have to inform the heavenly immortal manner and get them to call on the cultivation world to eradicate the forces of the devils and rid them of suspicion. Don't mention me. Just say that you were taught by a land deity, Hanju said seriously. Hearing that, Feng Liang's eyes widened. Dao Comprehension Sword also opened her eyes. Feng Liang's expression changed drastically. Grandmaster, is this true? When will the heavenly court take action? At most 1,000 years. Remember, recently, many prodigies have obtained great opportunities. These are the final moments of the heavenly Tao in the mortal world. It wants to rely on the power of all lives to protect the world. I'll immediately send a message to the heavenly immortal manor. I won't tell anyone that it was Grandmaster. Feng Liang left anxiously. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, Master, how do you know about the upper world? Hanju said, I'm related to the upper world. What relationship? I can't say. Hanju closed his eyes and didn't say anything else. In Dao Comprehension Sword's mind, his image rose again. 2 years later, Feng Liang received a reply saying that the heavenly immortal manor had already accepted his suggestion and started to inform the sects in the world. Visit Light Novel World. For a better experience. Less than 3 years later, Taoist 9 Cauldrons came to visit. Hanju noticed that his qi and blood were a little chaotic. He had been beaten up a lot during his training in the past few years. Elder Han, the heavenly immortal manor has summoned all the sects in the world to hunt down the demonic path. They said that because of the invasion of the devils, the immortals and gods feel that our mortal world has already become the mortal world of the devil race. I'm afraid that we will suffer the wrath of the heavens, and the mortals will have to save themselves. As the #1 holy land of the Great Yin, our Jade Pure Sacred Sect also received a letter from the heavenly immortal manor. What do you think we should do? Taoist 9 Cauldrons was vexed. What was happening? In his opinion, the heavenly immortal manor was bullshitting. Hanju said seriously, this is true. If the Jade Pure Sacred Sect can help, so be it. How could mortals resist the heavenly court, the overlord of the upper world? They could only try their best to cut ties with the devil race. When Taoist 9 Cauldrons heard that, he couldn't help but be moved. Even Hanju said so. It seemed to be true. He didn't say anything else and quickly left. Hanju had a favorable impression of the heavenly immortal manor. The heavenly immortal manor actually believed it. If this was in some novels, they would definitely not believe it. This would lead to a calamity, forcing the protagonist to rely on himself. After saving the world, all the people in the world would be shocked. The Holy Lands would feel regret and respect for the protagonist. Cough cough. Hanju thought about it and felt naive again. Perhaps the heavenly immortal manor had a connection with the upper world. After all, countless people had ascended in the past. Some people would definitely reminisce about the past and might secretly leak the news to the heavenly immortal manor. As a holy land, it was impossible for the heavenly immortal manor to believe the words of a mysterious person for no reason. No matter what, With the heavenly immortal manor and other holy lands taking over, Hanju could cultivate in peace. Besides cultivating, Hanju would also pay attention to Emoju and the other two. More and more members of the Emo clan came along. Emo Fujo and the others did not have any intention of fighting. They only wanted to find a place to hide. However, Emo Fujo's demonic aura was too strong, and he often encountered attacks from righteous cultivators. Because of his personal feelings, Hanju was also worried that Emoju and Emo Fujo would meet with misfortune. However, he had already persuaded them. Everyone had their own life to live. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. It was impossible for Hanju to take in the entire Emo family onto his cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. Once he did that, his disciples would beg him to take in more people in the mortal world who would not have feelings, who would not have people they cared about. In the dark cave, Patriarch Blood Fiend, White-Haired Fiend Lady, and Fiendish Arhut sat together. A ball of demonic chi floated between them. With all the righteous powers working together, the demonic path will suffer greatly. At this rate, it won't take more than a few hundred years for the demonic path to be completely eradicated, much less revived. A cold voice came from within the demonic chi. There's no need to be afraid. Soon, I'll send a batch of true devils over. At that time, I'll massacre the heavenly immortal manor and intimidate the righteous path. With that, the demonic chi dissipated. Fiendish Arhut frowned and asked, "Didn't Senior Juyin tell us not to interfere in the matters of the devil race?" White-haired fiend lady shook her head. "It's not that we want to interfere, but if we wait any longer, before Senior Juyin descends into the mortal world, we'll probably die at the hands of Ji Xianxian. Against the current Ji Xianxian, even if the three of us join forces, we won't be his match." Fiendish Arhut fell silent. Patriarch Blood Fiend sighed. "We've become pawns. Our ambitions are not worth mentioning. It's the best outcome if we can survive. Even if we want to ascend, there's no place for us to transcend the tribulation now. The heavenly immortal manor is watching us too closely. The only thing we can do now is to seek the help of the devil race." The once awe-inspiring three fiends of the demonic path smiled bitterly inside. Ascension required time. If they were attacked during the tribulation transcendence, they might die. Patriarch Blood Fiend Ascension tribulation was interrupted earlier. Fiendish Arhut gritted his teeth. Damn it. Did the demon lord ascend because she knew certain information? When she ascended, the heavenly immortal manor did not interfere. Why is it that when we tried? The mention of the demon lord infuriated the fiends. Visit Light Novel World. For the best novel reading experience. If you could ascend, why didn't you bring us along? 12 years later. 12 years later, Hanju broke through to the 8th level of the Mahayana realm. With pressure he had motivation. His cultivation speed was even faster than before. After breaking through, Hanju habitually took out the Book of Misfortune. He cursed and checked the emails. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X4729. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X110332. Your disciple Morong Qi was attacked by righteous cultivators, X78. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X74110. Your good friend Taoist Nine Cauldrons was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X85. Your disciple Fong Liang comprehended the heavenly Tao while cultivating. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun has received a divine providence. Your good friend Du Ku was attacked by a loose immortal. His life is hanging by a thread. The entire backlog was filled with fiendish cultivators. But this time, it was not the demonic path that swept through the world. Instead, it was being hunted down like a beaten dog. Hanju didn't pity them. He was not a saint. The righteous and demonic paths were irreconcilable. When the fiends had swept through the righteous path, many sects had been massacred and many people had been killed by fiendish cultivators. Perhaps there was some scum in the righteous path, but the demonic path was not slandered either. As for the righteous and demonic paths joining forces to resist the heavenly court, that was too ridiculous and impossible of an idea. The heavenly court had always been on the side of the righteous path, equivalent to the superior of the righteous path. Now, the superior suspected that his subordinates were colluding with the enemy, and in order to survive, his subordinates had to collude with the enemy? Not to mention, even if the righteous and demonic paths joined forces, they still couldn't stop heavenly court. If they did that, would the righteous path still be the righteous path? Hanju didn't place all his hopes on the righteous path. He still had to become stronger. If the heavenly court insisted on destroying the mortal world, he had to have the ability to protect himself. At most, he would bring the cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain and hide in the netherworld. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Hanju could still jump to other realms. After all, he had chosen the path of the sword immortal of reincarnation. However, he could only head to another realm by himself, and could not bring anyone else with him. Furthermore, he didn't understand the other realms at all, so he couldn't choose where to go. In other words, once he used the reincarnation mystical power, the destination would be quite random. Unless he had no choice, he wouldn't jump to another realm. If he jumped into the devil world, wouldn't he suffer? Hanju silently thought that he still had many ways to survive. He secretly prayed that the demon saint would cause more trouble, and not let the heavenly court recover in a short time. After the curse ended, Hanju continued cultivating. He only had one goal now: to reach the perfected 9th level of the Mahayana realm as soon as possible. A year later, a familiar voice entered Hanju's ears. "Fellow Taoist Guan, come out. I won't challenge you this time." Ji Xianxian. Hanju frowned. Why was this fellow here again? Hanju thought for a moment, and decided to go out and meet the guy to prevent him from causing trouble. It was still that forest. After not seeing him for decades, Ji Xianxian's aura had more than doubled. This fellow slaughtered fiendish cultivators everywhere, and could still become stronger. It was simply unreasonable. Hanju even suspected that he and Huang Jihao had a system that allowed them to level up by killing monsters. Why does my system not have this function? In certain novels, people could sign in to random locations and become stronger wherever they went. As for Hanju, he had to cultivate on his own. Hanju sighed in his heart. Ji Xianxian looked at him and said with a burning gaze, "Fellow Taoist Guan, on behalf of the heavenly immortal manor, I invite you to join and become an elder of the manor. Are you willing? Thank you for your kind intentions, I'll pass." Why? No location is better than home. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Ji Xianxian was stunned by Hanju's words. What was he saying? He continued. The heavenly immortal manor discovered the barrier set up by the demonic path, which is already connected to an unknown world. I'm afraid it's related to the devil race. Previously, we encountered a world created by them, and I even fought my way in. Are you interested in fighting the devil race with me? Typically, such a world contains cultivation resources given by the devil race to the demonic path. There might be treasures that you need. Hanju asked in surprise. Is the devil race so weak? Hearing this, Ji Xianxian flew into a rage. What do you mean? Cough cough. I'm not belittling your heavenly immortal manor. No matter what, the devils should be stronger than mortals. Otherwise, why would the fiends respect them? The actual devil race is trapped in the netherworld, so they can only send some true devils to preach. The strongest ones we've encountered are around the 9th level of the Mahayana realm. I won't be going. I wish you all the best. Hanju shook his head. After saying that, he turned around and prepared to leave. Ji Xianxian pulled him back and asked, By the way, what does Feng Liang have to do with you? I saw him on the Cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain. Hanju said, Nothing much, he's just a guest. That's good. This lad is extremely talented. He might even be thought to be more talented than me. I'm prepared to recruit him. Oh, I remember now. He's my grand disciple. Ji Xianxian wanted to curse. No wonder Feng Liang was so absurdly talented. After living for more than 1,000 years, apart from Hanju, this was the first time that Ji Xianxian felt pressured. It was not pressure from strength, but talent. Feng Liang had risen too quickly. Even his master had reminded him. hoping that he could help Feng Liang. Humph. Goodbye. Ji Xianxian waved his sleeve and left. Han Ju shook his head and returned to the cave abode. Under the Fusang tree, the three-headed Wrm king frowned. The others could not sense Ji Xianxian's aura, but he could. Very strong. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm, such a powerful existence was like a child when facing Han Ju. He was even more curious about Han Ju's cultivation. 7 years later, amidst cultivating, Han Ju suddenly felt uneasy and opened his eyes. What happened? Why did he suddenly feel so uneasy? Han Ju frowned. Dao Comprehension soared open her eyes. She asked, Master, do you feel uneasy? Han Ju wondered. You feel it too? What do you sense? I don't know. It's just depressing. Dao Comprehension Sword's answer made Han Ju even more uneasy. Is Heavenly Court attacking? So fast. At this moment, 3 lines of words appeared in front of Han Ju. Detected that the true devils have invaded the mortal world, and a calamity will befall the mortal world. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately and kill all the true devils. Your name will shake the world. You can obtain a numinous treasure and a heavenly Dao spirit stone. 2. Continue cultivating and stay away from trouble. You can obtain a mystical power inheritance. True devils were invading? Han Ju's eyebrows twitched. It turned out that the devil race had done something. His first reaction was to contact the heavenly puppet and ask Xing Hongxian, Fairy Xixian, and Chang Yuer to return to the sect immediately. It was the first time that the 3 girls had heard Han Ju so eager for them to return. They immediately put down what they were doing and returned to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Han Ju silently chose the second option. To be able to cause a calamity, this batch of true devils had to be very strong. He couldn't take the risk. It was fine to make a move, but it would be best if he was confident enough. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm Han Ju immediately checked if there were any true devils within 100 miles of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Lu Yuxia, 9th level of the Mahayana realm, commander of the true devils. You chose to continue cultivating and stay away from trouble. You will obtain a mystical power inheritance. You chose to continue cultivating and stay away from trouble. You will obtain a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power. Invocation technique. Invocation technique. Inheritable mystical power. It can be passed on to others. When others use the invocation technique, they can summon you from afar. You can return to your original location within 2 hours using the invocation technique again. The 3 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of Han Ju's eyes, but he ignored them and looked at the line of information regarding Lu Yuxia. Commander of the True Devils? How did he come so quickly? Is he coming for me? Or did he appear around the Jade Pure Sacred Sect by coincidence? Han Ju frowned and became even more nervous. He immediately used the simulation trial to fight against Lu Yuxia. Too close. Instant kill. However, the aura emitted by Lu Yuxia in the battle was much stronger than that of Ji Xianxian and Xian Qingjun. Han Ju started to check Lu Yuxia's location. This fellow was less than 15 kilometers away from the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. He stood on a mountain peak and didn't move. This is a good opportunity to intimidate the 3-headed Wrm king. Han Ju thought silently, then sent a voice transmission to the 3-headed Wrm king. At the peak of the mountain, a black-robed figure stared into the distance. His hair was white and his face was demonic. He had a pair of double pupils, and his lips were so red that they were almost dripping blood. Under the sunlight he looked terrifying. Lu Yuxia, a true devil of the devil race. This time, he brought dozens of true devils to the mortal world. The other true devils first gathered information on the heavenly immortal manner, while he was sent to the place with the greatest providence in the mortal world by the devil ancestor, who wanted him to destroy this place first. This way, the providence of the human race in the mortal world would greatly decrease, allowing them to proceed more smoothly. Lu Yuxia used his divine sense to scan the area. This sect was not strong, and should not be the heavenly immortal manner. Why was it the place with the most providence in the mortal world? He couldn't figure it out, and felt that there might be a trap. He didn't dare to act rashly. For more, visit Light Novel World. At that moment, a figure sped over. It was the three-headed Wuxia king, the sixth level of the Mahayana realm. Lu Yuxia frowned. The immortal mountain was enveloped by Hanju's system barrier. Previously, when he scanned with his divine sense, he didn't notice the three-headed Wuxia king. It was indeed a trap. This place looked weak, but it was actually the most terrifying place in the entire mortal world. The three-headed Wuxia king took out a huge halberd and smiled sinisterly. "You're a true devil." Without another word, he brandished his halberd and attacked Lu Yuxia. Lu Yuxia stirred. How did he know that he was a true devil? Had the devil's plan been exposed? Lu Yuxia didn't have time to think too much, and quickly started fighting with the Wuxia. This was the fight of two Mahayana realm cultivators with terrifying auras. In less than 5 breaths of time, the surrounding mountains were razed to the ground. The sounds of battle alerted the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. The elders flew out and looked into the distance nervously. Lu Yuxia was worthy of being a true devil commander. He was indeed far stronger than the three-headed Wuxia king. Demonic chi overflowed and covered the sky. It covered a radius of 5 kilometers, suppressing the three-headed Wuxia king until he continuously fell. The overbearing demonic chi transformed into pillars that descended from the sky, forcing the three-headed Wuxia king to constantly dodge in the ruins. After fighting for a short while, the three-headed Wuxia king was already covered in blood. Damn it! The three-headed Wuxia king was both shocked and furious. He hadn't expected the other party to be so strong. This was his first battle after joining Hanju. Was he going to lose? The Wuxia roared into the sky and transformed into his true form. A three-headed black-scaled Wuxia appeared between heaven and earth. It was thousands of feet long and looked mighty and domineering. Under its 4 claws, it stepped on dragon flames. A pair of fleshy wings grew on its back and spread out for thousands of feet. Lu Yuxia raised his eyebrows and thought to himself, "True dragon bloodline? Visit Light Novel World." For a better experience, he then raised his right hand and pressed down, causing the billowing demonic chi in the sky to transform into a mountain-sized black palm that smashed down. In front of this black palm, the three-headed Wuxia king was like a small snake, pressed to the ground, unable to move. "Master, I can't hold on." The three-headed Wuxia king hurriedly shouted. The difference in spirit energy was too great, causing him to not even be able to use many mystical powers and spells. Lu Yuxia's demonic chi was extremely strange, causing the three-headed Wuxia king to be unable to execute his mystical power in the area covered by it. Even his speed was much slower, as if he was carrying a huge mountain on his back. The three-headed Wuxia king had never encountered such a terrifying opponent. He was clearly very strong, but from a spectator's point of view, he had no ability to resist. He was like a clumsy beast, not a Mahayana demon king. There are others as well. Lu Yuxia's eyes flickered as he thought to himself. Boom! A strong gust of wind suddenly blew over, dissipating the demonic chi filling the sky. Lu Yuxia's eyes widened. He turned around and saw a figure speeding over. It was Hanju. Lu Yuxia's soul trembled. Feeling an extremely terrifying danger, he subconsciously took out a black wooden sword and waved it at Hanju. The moment the wooden sword was raised, Hanju raised his finger and shot out a sword aura. Heaven Earth Mystic Yellow World Piercing Sword Finger. Lu Yuxia couldn't block in time, and his body was directly annihilated by the sword chi. In the blink of an eye, Hanju raised his palm and sucked away Lu Yuxia's soul. This was the reason why he came out personally. Otherwise, he could have stood on the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain and shot at him. Lu Yuxia died. The demonic chi in the world dissipated. The black palm suppressing the three-headed Wuxia king dissipated as he looked at Hanju in shock. The high and mighty Hanju glanced at him, and then disappeared. The three-headed Wuxia king was extremely ashamed. He wished that he could find a hole to hide in, and sleep for another tens of thousands of years. After returning to the cave abode, a line of words appeared in front of Hanju. The three-headed WRM King's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 4, 5 stars. Hanju didn't mind. He sat on the bed and opened his right hand. Lu Yishua's soul appeared. Under the constraints of the Six Paths spirit energy, Lu Yishua couldn't escape. He looked at Hanju in horror and asked, "You are an immortal? How could a mortal be so powerful?" Hanju asked expressionlessly, "Why are you here?" Lu Yishua gritted his teeth. "I was just passing by. I didn't intend to harm you." As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying divine sense collided with his soul, causing him to almost scream in pain. "I was sent here by someone because the providence of this place is the highest in the mortal world. I'm also afraid of death. Senior, please spare my life." Lu Yishua gritted his teeth as his soul trembled continuously. Hanju asked expressionlessly, "Who sent you here?" "The devil. Ancestor." "Devil ancestor? What was the plan?" "Massacre the humans. He sent you? Are the devils so weak?" Lu Yishua felt insulted, but he had to bow his head. He didn't want to die. He gritted his teeth and said, "The true devils were defeated by the great calamity of the heavenly Tao many eras ago, and were sealed in the 6 paths of reincarnation. We true devils were painstakingly found by the devil race. The devil ancestor bewitched the ghosts on the bridge of forgetfulness, and made the ghosts who didn't want to reincarnate become fiendish cultivators, until they cultivated to become true devils. There are rules in the mortal world. If existences beyond the Mahayana realm enter without permission, it will alarm the heavenly rules. The heavenly court, the divine palace, and even the Buddhist sect will definitely be furious. The devil ancestor can only send true devils at the 9th level of the Mahayana realm to infiltrate the mortal world." Hanju raised his eyebrows. A question popped into his mind. Could it be that the devil race and the netherworld don't have heaven-evading stones? This content is taken from Light Novel World. Com. "Senior, as long as you let me go, I won't come again." "Senior, as long as you let me go, I won't come again." Lu Yishua gritted his teeth. Hanju was so powerful that he could only beg for mercy. Damn it. As expected, this mission was not reliable. When Lu Yishua received the devil ancestor's instructions, his first reaction was that there was a trap. The devil's plan for the mortal world had not started in 1,000 years or 100 years. They had planned for 10,000 years, but they had never succeeded. Indeed, he had just arrived in the mortal world and had already suffered a failure. Lu Yishua hated the devil ancestor. Was it not comfortable to stay in the netherworld? Why did he have to come to the mortal world to cause trouble? Lu Yishua has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 1 star. Hanju narrowed his eyes. 1-star hatred points was actually not too bad. It was far from a situation where they would fight to the death. Hanju hesitated if he should let him go. Even if he did, he had to imprison his soul. "Are there any other true devils stronger than you?" Hanju asked. Lu Yishua smiled bitterly. "No way. I'm the strongest, but I encountered you the first time I attacked." Hanju retracted his hand and imprisoned Lu Yishua's soul in the depths of his soul. Perhaps he could use this fellow in the future. Tao Comprehension Sword couldn't help but ask, "Master, the devils are attacking. What should we do?" Hanju said calmly, "Let's wait and see. If we really can't win, we'll run." Outside the cave abode, the three-headed WRM King slipped back under the fusang tree. He lowered his head, not daring to face the others. The black hell chicken laughed mockingly. "WRM King? We need Master's help. And you also need Master's help. Tell me, what's the difference between us?" The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. The three-headed WRM King nearly exploded in anger. Fong Liang sighed. That true devil was indeed ridiculously strong. It looked like he was completely overwhelmed, but in fact the difference in strength was just too great. Hearing this, the three-headed WRM King became even more depressed. Sun Chang'an took this opportunity to educate Fong Liang. "You have to cultivate well. You and your senior brother will be our hope. In the future, we'll still have to rely on you two to resolve Master's troubles." Yang Tiandong, the three-headed WRM King, the black hell chicken, and the chaotic heavenly dog felt as if they had been imbued with something. Especially the chaotic heavenly dog. Its strength was already at the bottom. Normally, it wouldn't be able to win against anyone. It felt extremely aggrieved. No, I want to surpass them. The two little golden crows lay on the branches of the fusang tree, shaking their heads as they looked at these people. They conversed with each other, their voices sweet like 6 or 7-year-olds. Was that guy strong? I don't feel that he was that strong. Perhaps they are too weak. Probably. A year later, Han Ju successfully grasped the invocation technique. This technique had two components: the main mystical power and sub-mystical power. Someone who learned the sub-mystical power could invoke and summon the person who mastered the main mystical power. Learning the sub-mystical power would only mean mastering the summoning method. Han Ju decided to impart the mystical power to his disciples. This mystical power could only be given to his own disciples, and could not be taught to the entire Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Even if it was taught to these closest people, he had to give a different explanation. Han Ju called Dao Comprehension Sword, and walked out of the cave abode. He came to the fusang tree and called Su Qi out. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Kam Morong Qi had already returned. He wanted to go out again, but was stopped by Han Ju. It was to impart the invocation technique. Apart from the black hell chicken and chaotic heavenly dog, this was the first time the others had seen Su Qi. Fong Liang and Morong Qi were very interested in this mysterious person. A fiendish cultivator, muttered Fong Liang softly. Su Qi smiled calmly. He was very excited. These disciples and juniors were all very talented, especially Fong Liang and Morong Qi. The cultivation of the third-generation disciples was almost catching up to his, a second-generation disciple. Han Ju said, "Previously, Su Qi was sent by me to infiltrate the demon-taming sect, and had no choice but to become a fiendish cultivator. During the war between the righteous and the demonic, many fiendish cultivators died in his hands." Hearing this, everyone felt deep veneration for Su Qi. Among Han Ju's disciples, no one else was assigned a mission by him. They looked at Su Qi's weathered face again and felt guilty. Han Ju protected them so much, but they often wanted to go out. Han Ju caught everyone's expression and didn't say anything. He had called for Su Qi this time to test him. He wanted to see if the total providence on this mountain could suppress Su Qi's bad luck. Previously, Lu Yixue had said that the providence here was the highest in the world. As for Du Ku, he wasn't related to Han Ju, and was not someone with great luck. It was normal for him to suffer if he dared to spend 5 days alone with Su Qi. I will teach you a technique that can only be used when your life is at stake. Once you use it, you will obtain immense power, but the price will be unimaginable. You will face your worst nightmare, Han Ju said seriously. Everyone looked at each other. Fong Liang asked curiously, "Is the nightmare an illusion? Or is the fear going to turn real?" Han Ju said in an unfathomable manner, "Only you will know if what you are afraid of will come true or not. In short, unless it's absolutely necessary, you must never use this mystical power. However, if it's a matter of life and death, you should still use it. I hope that all of you can live and follow me to pursue the great Tao and enjoy eternal life." His words made everyone's blood boil. Pursue the great Tao together. Enjoy eternal life. Morong Qi clenched his fists and said, "I'll definitely cultivate well. In the future, I'll cut down all those who stand in my way." The others also promised. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Sun Chang'an, who had always been a slacker, also revealed a look of anticipation. Golden crows, three-headed, come over and learn together. Han Ju looked to the side and smiled. The three-headed Wyrm king, who had been eavesdropping, hurriedly crawled over. The two golden crows flew over and landed on Fong Liang's shoulder. For some reason, they liked Fong Liang and often rubbed against him. The three-headed Wyrm king's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5. 5 stars. Han Ju began to impart the sub-mystical power of the invocation technique. He taught them for 2 months. The invocation technique was very complicated, but Fong Liang, Morong Qi, and Su Qi only took a few days to master it. The slowest to learn were Yang Tiandong and the Black Hell Chicken. They almost felt depressed. The chaotic heavenly dog finally regained some confidence and was overjoyed. Han Ju brought Dao Comprehension Sword back to the cave abode. Su Qi didn't stay any longer. He quickly returned to his cave abode and cultivated in peace. Han Ju used the heavenly puppet to check on Xing Hongxian and the other two. They were still on their way back and had not encountered any true devils. According to Lu Yuxue, the true devil's target was the heavenly immortal manor. It was unknown if the heavenly immortal manor could withstand it. 8 years later, Han Ju was already close to the 9th level of the Mahayana realm. He wanted to reach it in one go. Detected bearer of Khanate Providence, check its origin. Han Ju raised his eyebrows. It had been a long time since he had met a new person with great providence. The previous person was Ji Xianxian, a conceited fool who wanted to be number one in the world. Han Ju immediately chose to check. Visit Light Novel World. For a better experience. The introduction of the person with the providence popped up in front of him. Han Ju widened his eyes. Not bad at all. Tulinger, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm. The reincarnation of an ancient Grand Magus. During the Savage Era, both the Magus race and the Demon race fought for the heavenly Dao's hegemony. Both perished and lost the great providence of their race. The Magus race was annihilated, and a few Grand Magi hid in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Tulinger experienced 10,000 reincarnations, and finally washed away the Magus race's negative karma. However, her soul is still the soul of a Grand Magus. If she becomes an immortal emperor, she can transform into a Grand Magus and gain extreme power. Tulinger is a deacon of the heavenly immortal manor, and is here on her master's orders to find Fang Liang. Tulinger, 9th level of the Void Amalgamation Realm, the reincarnation of an ancient Grand Magus. During the Savage Era, both the Magus race and the Demon race fought for the heavenly Dao's hegemony. Both perished and lost the great providence of their race. The Magus race was annihilated, and a few Grand Magi hid in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Tulinger experienced 10,000 reincarnations, and finally washed away the Magus race's negative karma. However, her soul is still the soul of a Grand Magus. If she becomes an immortal emperor, she can transform into a Grand Magus and gain extreme power. Tulinger is a deacon of the heavenly immortal manor, and is here on her master's orders to find Fang Liang. Ancient Grand Magus? Only after reaching the immortal emperor realm could she transform into a Grand Magus? How strong was she? Han Ju was secretly shocked. This woman was not simple. However, he noticed that Tulinger had come on the orders of the heavenly immortal manor. She probably had ill intentions. He was very cautious and started the simulation trial with Tulinger. A second later he laughed at himself. Tulinger only had the background of a Grand Magus, and was not a true Grand Magus. Her strength could only match some body integration realm cultivators, and was far inferior to him. Han Ju detected that Tulinger had arrived at the foot of the immortal mountain. Fang Liang sensed her aura, and personally went down the mountain to see her. "Senior, why are you here?" Fang Liang cupped his fists, and asked with an awkward expression. He had nearly forgotten that he was also a disciple of the heavenly immortal manor. Tulinger wore a yellow robe and green clothes. Her hair was tied up under a jade hairpin, and she had a beautiful face. Although she was not extremely beautiful, she still looked stunning with her bearing. Tulinger looked at the mountain and asked, "Fang Liang, what's the origin of this mountain? Why is the spirit chi here so dense?" This was already comparable to the cultivation holy land of the heavenly immortal manor. How could a small place like the Great Yen have such a treasure trove? Fang Liang said awkwardly, "This is my first sect. Why are you looking for me?" "Didn't I tell the heavenly immortal manor that I won't return again unless the manor is in trouble?" The heavenly immortal manor was not a simple sect. Apart from the disciples that they personally nurtured, they would also teach the disciples from other sects, and build a good relationship with them. With your talent, you're comparable to Ji Xianxian. Do you think the heavenly immortal manor is willing to give up on you? I came to look for you this time, because we encountered a calamity. Dozens of true devils attacked the heavenly immortal manor, and we've fallen into a fierce battle. My master asked me to look for you, hoping to ask the land deity you mentioned in your letter to help. Is he on the mountain? Tulinga asked casually. Her gaze was fixed on the fusang tree at the top of the mountain. That tree was not simple. Where did it come from? Follow new episodes on the light novel world.com platform. Fong Liang shook his head and said, The land deity I met was just a stranger. He left a long time ago. There's no mighty figure in the Jade Pure Sacred Sect who can help the heavenly immortal manor. Tulinger smiled and asked, Does your Jade Pure Sacred Sect still lack elders? I want to cultivate on this mountain. Help me ask. Huh? What? Isn't the heavenly immortal manor in trouble? Senior, aren't you in a hurry? I can't go back because it's in trouble. Didn't you also say that if the heavenly immortal manor is in trouble, you will return? Then will you return now? Fong Liang was speechless. He thought for a moment and said, Wait here. I'll go ask my grandmaster. Tulinga nodded and sat before the stone tablet at the foot of the mountain. Fong Liang quickly went up the mountain and visited Hanju. Hanju let him in for a chat. Fong Liang explained the reason for Tulinger's visit and then said, Grandmaster, Tulinger's natural endowment is ranked in the top 10 in the heavenly immortal manor. However, she's famous for being cunning. Now, she's using the mission as an excuse to leave the heavenly immortal manor. This means that she's not a good person. It was obvious that he did not like Tulinger. However, due to her seniority in the heavenly immortal manor, he had to give her face. Hanju asked, Is she bearing a blood feud? Fong Liang thought for a moment and said, No, she grew up in the heavenly immortal manor. However, she cultivates hard all year round and rarely makes friends. Reject her. All right. Fong Liang left happily. Although Tulinger's background was impressive, she was already an adult. It wasn't convenient to brainwash her. Furthermore, she was a disciple of the heavenly immortal manor. Hanju didn't want to cause trouble. Visit Light Novel World.com for the best novel reading experience. Then, he started to check the emails. After so many years, the true devils did not cause too much of a commotion. Without Lu Yushua's leadership, they couldn't even take over the heavenly immortal manor. This surprised Hanju. The heavenly immortal manor was quite impressive. Your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by a true devil X-145. Your good friend Ji Xianxian is severely injured and on the verge of death. Your good friend Ji Lingchan was attacked by a true devil X4. Your good friend Zhou Fan obtained an opportunity, and his body transformed. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a true devil, and was severely injured. Your Dao companion Xian Qingjun has comprehended the true meaning of the great Dao. Her cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou was bewitched by the devil race, and developed mental demons. Your good friend Ji Xianxian has gained enlightenment of a sacred technique. His essence soul has transformed. Hanju raised his eyebrows. Even Ji Xianxian was severely injured. It looked like the heavenly immortal manor was indeed in danger. Hanju hesitated to help. Then he shook his head. He had already dealt with the true devil commander. If the heavenly immortal manor couldn't even deal with the other true devils, how could they face the devils in the future? Hanju didn't want the Jade Pure Sacred Sect to be taken over after he left. In addition, Ji Xianxian's epiphany of the sacred technique was clearly a protagonist's event. Perhaps this battle would be the one for Ji Xianxian to rise to the top. Just as Hanju was thinking, Fong Liang returned. Grandmaster, she refused to leave. She said that she could take you as her master. Fong Liang smiled bitterly. He wasn't Tulinger's match, so he couldn't force her out. Hanju said expressionlessly, She can acknowledge me as her master, but she has to kowtow for 10 years first. Fong Liang hesitated when he heard that, but he still went down the mountain to pass the message. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, Are you really going to accept her? Hanju smiled and said, Let's see if she's willing to lower her head first. At the foot of the mountain, after hearing Fong Liang's words, Tulinger directly knelt in front of the stone tablet and began to kowtow. Fong Liang frowned and asked, What's the point? Even if you want to avoid the heavenly immortal manor's calamity, you don't have to do this. As Tu Linger kowtowed, she smiled and said, to be able to make you give up the preferential treatment of the heavenly immortal manor, and to be able to nurture such a precious mountain, the master of this mountain must be the land deity you believe in. Fang Liang was silent. There was one more thing Tu Linger did not say. In fact, it was not that the heavenly immortal manor wanted Fang Liang to return. How useful could Fang Liang be to the manor's current calamity? She was the one who took the initiative to look for Fang Liang, using the excuse of gathering the forces outside the manor. 10 years ago, when Tu Linger was cultivating, she would always fall asleep easily. In her dreams, she often saw a mountain with a mysterious figure on it. At first the dream was blurry, but later it became clearer. She knew that Fang Liang, who she had interacted with before, was kneeling in front of the mysterious figure. She knew that he was related to Fang Liang. Tu Linger always believed in her dreams. Ever since she was young, she had even comprehended mystical powers in her dreams. This was also the reason why she became a genius of the heavenly immortal manor. When Hanju asked her to kowtow for 10 years, her first reaction was not anger but relief. The other party spoke so arrogantly. He must be a mighty figure. I knew it. The dream realm guided her towards the fortuitous opportunity again. Follow new episodes on the light novel world.com platform. Seeing that she was determined, Fang Liang did not continue persuading her. He turned around and left, preparing to return to his residence to continue cultivating. Tu Linger's arrival didn't attract too much attention from Hanju. He continued cultivating and strove to reach the 9th level of the Mahayana realm as soon as possible. Tu Linger's arrival didn't attract too much attention from Hanju. He continued cultivating and strove to reach the 9th level of the Mahayana realm as soon as possible. Time passed. While the world changed outside to the ascetics, time seemed to stop flowing. Xing Hongxian, Chang Yuer, and Fairy Shixian had already returned. However, when they heard that Hanju was in seclusion, they didn't disturb him. 7 years passed quickly. Hanju finally broke through to the 9th level of the Mahayana realm, the peak of the mortal world. After breaking through, the spirit energy in Hanju's body soared. He didn't stop. Instead, he continued to cultivate and raised his spirit energy to a state where it could no longer increase. 3 years later, Hanju asked Dao Comprehension Sword to bring Tu Linger up the mountain. He wanted her to cultivate under the Fusang tree first. He would talk about the master-disciple matter in the future. After Tu Linger entered the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, she discovered that the spirit chi inside was even richer than what she had felt at the foot of the mountain. Is there a powerful and invisible barrier around this mountain? Tu Linger was secretly shocked and became even more curious about Hanju. She came to the Fusang tree. Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, Morong Qi, the chaotic heavenly dog, the black hell chicken, the 2 little golden crows, and the 3-headed WRM king all looked at her. Tu Linger's gaze landed on the Fusang tree. Tu Linger was in a daze. When she saw the Fusang tree, she became inexplicably distracted. Dao Comprehension Sword said, cultivate here first. Don't make too much noise. Tu Linger came back to her senses and hurriedly nodded. The others did not talk to her and continued cultivating. Although Tu Linger had many doubts, she still suppressed them in her mind and obediently began to meditate and cultivate. For some reason, she felt that these people were not simple. For more, visit Light Novel World.com. She couldn't help but think of the geniuses in the heavenly immortal manor. Half a year later, Hanju finally raised his cultivation level to the perfected 9th level of the Mahayana realm. Your cultivation has reached the peak of the mortal world. You have the following choices. 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal. You can obtain a mystical power inheritance and a numinous treasure. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Continue to stay in the mortal world, and you can obtain a supreme treasure. Hanju chose the second option without hesitation. You chose not to ascend for the time being, and obtained a supreme treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. 9-5 Supreme Providence Robe. 9-5 Supreme Providence Robe. Defensive Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. It's a supreme treasure refined from the providence of an emperor. Its defense is extremely strong. After wearing it, you will obtain the aura of an emperor. Defensive Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. Defensive. Hanju was pleasantly surprised. This was too good. System, awesome job as usual. Hanju took out the 9-5 Supreme Providence Robe. It was a mighty and domineering dragon-patterned golden robe. Golden light shone in the cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword opened her eyes and looked surprised. This was too high profile. Hanju frowned. However, on second thought, he hid in the cave abode every day. He wasn't afraid of being high profile. He immediately began to make the 9-5 Supreme Providence Robe recognize him as its master. 2 days later, the Grand Unity Supreme Treasure recognized him as its master. It was indeed a treasure. Hanju wore the 9-5 Supreme Providence Robe, feeling much safer. He originally wanted to wear the nice 5 robe on top of the Golden Cicada's Mystic Divine Robe, but it was extremely uncomfortable, so he could only take it off. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience, Master. Can you give me this robe? Dao Comprehension Sword pointed at the Golden Cicada's Mystic Divine Robe on the table and asked with great desire. Hanju said, "You're not going outside. You don't need to wear the numinous treasure robe. But Master, you're not going out either. If I die, you won't be able to escape death. So I have to wear it." Dao Comprehension Sword curled her lips, feeling wronged. Hanju wanted to give the Golden Cicada's Mystic Divine Robe to Xing Hongxian, but on second thought, the Golden Cicada's Mystic Divine Robe was also high profile. If Xing Hongxian wore it, it might attract even more trouble. Fine, I'll give it to you. After you wear it, go outside. I want to break through. I'm afraid the commotion will kill you. Hanju waved his hand. Dao Comprehension Sword looked over in surprise and hurriedly thanked him before wearing the Golden Cicada's Mystic Divine Robe. Hanju was speechless. This girl actually undressed in front of him. Although he had already seen it before, she was still too unashamed. Hanju frowned and said, "You can't take off your clothes in front of others in the future." Dao Comprehension Sword happily sized up the Golden Cicada's Mystic Divine Robe and replied, "There are differences between men and women. I understand that. I will only change in front of Master." With that, she quickly left to boast to Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the others. Hanju shook his head and laughed. Then, he perked up and prepared to break through. He raised his hand and sucked the heaven-evading stone into his palm. He placed the stone by his leg and muttered, "It's all up to you now." If Hanju could surpass the cultivation limit in the mortal world and stay here, that would be perfect. Hanju began to cultivate the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. After comprehending the mortal world cultivation chapter, he would be able to comprehend a cultivation method of a higher realm. Under the Fusang tree, the moment Dao Comprehension Sword appeared, the atmosphere under the tree became lively. Fang Liang, who was meditating, opened his eyes and glanced at Tu Linger. He asked, "Are you still returning to the heavenly immortal manor in the future?" The source of this content is Light Novel World. Calm Tu Linger didn't even open her eyes as she replied, "Why should I go back? This place is quite good. It's isolated from the world, and I can cultivate in peace. I don't want to go back and suffer." Fang Liang was speechless. The heavenly immortal manor raised such an ingrate? It was still fine for him. After all, he wasn't a disciple of the heavenly immortal manor. In any case, he had also carried out missions for the manor. However, Tu Linger was a genius specially nurtured by the heavenly immortal manor. Since she was young, she only needed to cultivate and not go out. In other words, she had yet to contribute to the manor. When your cultivation improves in the future, you won't betray my grandmaster, right? Fang Liang asked warily. The others also looked at her. Tu Linger finally opened her eyes and retorted angrily, "What do you mean by betray? Although I've left the heavenly immortal manor, I'm not their enemy. What kind of betrayal is that? Besides, isn't this place the immortal mountain of cultivation? Isn't cultivating diligently the greatest consolation to master?" Now, Even if the elders of the heavenly immortal manor personally came to force her to return, she would not. The spirit qi under the fusang tree was too dense. Tu Linger couldn't bear to leave. Boom! Thunder rumbled in the sky. Everyone turned their heads and saw rolling dark clouds. There was no demonic aura or demonic qi. It seemed like a storm was coming. Tu Linger frowned and muttered, "That fellow finally succeeded." Fong Liang asked curiously, "Who succeeded?" Ji Xianxian, the #1 prodigy of the heavenly immortal manor. You haven't seen this person before, but his talent is definitely the #1 in the world. A complicated expression appeared in Tu Linger's eyes. Being of the same generation as Ji Xianxian was the sorrow of these geniuses. Fong Liang's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He had also heard of Ji Xianxian. One day, he would prove to the world who was the #1 prodigy in the world. He wanted to win honor for his grandmaster. Morongqi, Sun Chang'an, and the others had also heard of Ji Xianxian. When they heard the conversation between Fong Liang and Tu Linger, they couldn't help but be even more curious about him. There's no need to worry about the heavenly immortal manor. This tribulation will definitely be resolved. Tu Linger closed her eyes and smiled. Fong Liang asked in surprise, "Just because of Ji Xianxian? He alone can resolve the heavenly immortal manor's calamity?" Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Yes, I'm afraid no mortal in this world is his match. He's no match for my grandmaster. Isn't your grandmaster a land deity? He's no mortal. Inside the Khanate Cave Abode. Inside the Khanate Cave Abode. After completing the Mortal Realm Cultivation chapter of the 6 Paths of Reincarnation technique, Hanju finally comprehended a higher-level cultivation technique. There were 6 realms above his current cultivation level: Loose Immortal, Earth Immortal, Heaven Immortal, True Immortal, Mystic Immortal, Golden Immortal. Excited, Hanju started to break through to the Loose Immortal realm. Taoist Juyan was also a Loose Immortal. When he reached the Loose Immortal realm, how could he not instantly kill the other party? There was also the Vermilion Bird. It was only an Earth Immortal. Hanju suddenly felt that these 2 enemies were not that strong. At least, he could see the hope of surpassing them. Hanju stopped thinking and focused on breaking through. With his potential, breaking through wouldn't take too long. In the dark cave abode, Patriarch Blood Fiend, White-Haired Fiend Lady, and Fiendish Arhat gathered again. Fiendish Arhat clenched his fists and cursed. When will Taoist Juyan be willing to come down? The true devils of the devil race have not attacked the heavenly immortal manor for 10 years. It's said that Ji Xianxian learned the strongest sacred technique in the heavenly immortal manor. No one has managed to learn it for 10,000 years. He's already invincible. What awaits us is a dead end. Patriarch Blood Fiend's expression darkened. White-Haired Fiend Lady gritted her teeth and said, "I don't care anymore. I want to ascend." Fiendish Arhat nodded. He didn't want to wait any longer. "But if we ascend now, won't we be attacked by the righteous path?" Patriarch Blood Fiend hesitated. Fiendish Arhat cursed. "Patriarch Blood Fiend, are you being silly? How can they have the time to care about us when true devils are attacking the heavenly immortal manor? It's fine if you don't ascend. Be careful not to regret it in the future." With that said, he and the White-Haired Fiend Lady stood up and left. Patriarch Blood Fiend's expression changed. After Fiendish Arhat and White-Haired Fiend Lady's auras faded away, Patriarch Blood Fiend took out a crystal ball and asked softly, "Senior, how much longer?" He didn't receive a reply and continued to wait. After a long time, a weak voice came from the crystal ball. "Don't be anxious, cough cough. Soon." His heart skipped a beat as he asked, "Are you injured?" "No, something went wrong with my cultivation. I'm waiting for a senior from the heavenly court. Don't worry. As long as you're obedient, I'll take care of you after you ascend. I won't let you wander around." Patriarch Blood Fiend suppressed his surprise and said, "The devil race sent true devils to attack, but they can't defeat the heavenly immortal manor. I'm afraid the heavenly immortal manor is useless. Continue to urge the devil race to send more true devils. Remember, don't participate. You only need to persuade them. If you're also involved, I won't be able to protect you. I understand. Then, Senior, can you give me a time? I'm afraid I can't hold on. 100 years at most, okay? 100 years. I'll try my best to be faster, humph. Thank you, Senior. 2 years later, the Khanate cave abode shook violently, causing the entire Cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain to shake. Under the Fusang tree, Fong Liang, Sun Chang'an, and the others turned their heads to look. Li Qingzi, Fairy Xixian, Xing Hongxian, and Chang Yuer, who were cultivating, were also alarmed and walked out of their cave abodes. They went to the top of the mountain and gathered with the others. What's happening? It's Master's cave abode. Master is breaking through? This has never happened before. This is the first time, right? What realm is Grandmaster at now? If he breaks through, he has to undergo tribulation. Why is he always in the cave abode? Everyone discussed. Li Qingzi said, Elder Han knows how to transcend the tribulation. Previously, I even led him to a good location to transcend the tribulation. This time he must have comprehended some mystical power. Xing Hongxian smiled proudly. My husband is so powerful. Husband? Tu Linger couldn't help but look at her as she thought. This is Master's wife? Dao Comprehension Sword and Chang Yuer glanced at Xing Hongxian meaningfully. The latest episodes are on the Light Novel World.com website. At the same time, inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju succeeded in breaking through. The Six Paths spirit energy in his body transformed into dermic powers and continued to grow. Congratulations on becoming a reincarnation loose immortal. You have the following choices. 1. Immediately ascend and enjoy the baptism of the heavenly Tao. You can obtain a supreme treasure and a heavenly Tao spirit stone. 2. Don't ascend for the time being and stay in the mortal world. You can obtain a supreme treasure. 3 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. He directly chose the second option. Since there was no heavenly tribulation, and he was not expelled by the heavenly Tao, why did he have to ascend? Unless the heavenly court really wanted to destroy the world, he would stay here and cultivate on this Cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain. Hanju set a goal for himself. He would only ascend when he was no longer afraid of the vermilion bird. You chose not to ascend for the time being, and obtained a supreme treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. Grand Imperial Phoenix Wings Crown. Grand Imperial Phoenix Wings Crown. Defensive Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. A crown refined from the aura of a Grand Emperor and the wings of a phoenix. Its defense is extremely strong. Defensive Supreme Treasure. Nice. Hanju was in a good mood. He continued to consolidate his cultivation. The dermic powers in his body circulated along with the 6 paths of reincarnation technique, and rapidly increased. Somehow, Hanju felt much less constrained. It was as if the world could no longer stop him. He could jump out of the mortal world with one leap. This feeling was too wonderful. After consolidating his cultivation with his body, Hanju's essence soul left his body. He quickly jumped out of the cave abode and arrived on the Cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain. He looked down and saw shadows above his disciples. There was a ball of qi above Fong Liang's head. There was a ginseng above Sun Chang'an's head. A divine figure floated above Morong Qi's head. He wore armor and looked mighty and domineering. A black phoenix floated above the head of the black hell chicken. It was completely different from its body. It could even be said to be worlds apart. Hanju's gaze landed on Tu Linger, Grand Magus. Updated from Light Novel World.com. Tu Linger was pretty and could be considered a beauty, but the Grand Magus looked extremely sinister. It had a human body and a beast head, looking very ferocious. So terrifying? When Hanju stared at the soul of the Grand Magus above Tu Linger, it suddenly looked up at him with its snake-like eyes. Their eyes met, and Hanju felt very uncomfortable. No, this fellow is a little dangerous. He had to send it away. The soul of the Grand Magus opened its mouth to Hanju. There was no sound, but Hanju could sense what it was saying. Save me. Hanju was puzzled. Why did it need to be saved? He didn't think too much and grasped the feeling of breaking through. Hanju continued to rise into the sky. The mountains and rivers shrank rapidly in his eyes. In the blink of an eye, He arrived at the top of the sky. Above him was the endless sea of stars. This time, Hanju felt that he could easily skip the resplendent galaxy and fly to the upper world. But he didn't. He was afraid that the vermilion bird was waiting for him. Therefore, Hanju's essence soul rushed towards the ground. His eyes focused, and he directly jumped out of the mortal world and came to the netherworld. He felt the familiar darkness and the familiar chi of reincarnation. Fortunately, there was no yellow spring nearby and no bridge of forgetfulness. Hanju spread his divine sense. There were no living beings in a radius of 10,000 miles. His essence soul began to enjoy the baptism of the chi of reincarnation. During this process, the strength of his essence soul rapidly increased. "You're here again." A hoarse voice sounded. Hanju was shocked. Wasn't this the voice that the heavenly puppet had encountered? He subconsciously wanted to run. "Wait, I won't harm you." Hanju calmed down after hearing this. Thinking about it carefully, he seemed to have overreacted earlier. The other party indeed had no intention of killing him. There's actually such a genius like you. You surpassed all living beings in the mortal world before reaching 800 years of age. Yet, you didn't transcend the tribulation and become a loose immortal. You can freely come and go between the two worlds. Perhaps, you are the person I've been waiting for. Visit to Light Novel World. Come discover new novels. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Hanju listened to the other party and pondered. What do you mean? Was she trying to recruit him? As her disciple? Or maybe possess him? Possession. Hanju panicked. He was so handsome and had such high potential. Even an immortal would probably be envious. This area has already been isolated by my dermic powers. No one can detect our presence. We can talk without worries. The hoarse voice sounded again. Hanju asked cautiously, "May I know your identity?" The hoarse voice replied, "I'm from the Bridge of Forgetfulness." The Bridge of Forgetfulness? Wasn't that a bridge? The manifestation of the Bridge of Forgetfulness? Wait, Mengpa. Hanju was shocked. What was Mengpa trying to do? Did she want to recruit him as an assistant? You know the background of your newest disciple, don't you? Hanju asked curiously. What background does she have? A genius of the heavenly immortal manor? Could it be that the heavenly immortal manor has your support? As a loose immortal, he could already see through the grand magus origin. If news of this were to spread, it would definitely attract fear. You really don't know? Your disciples are all extraordinary. The hoarse voice teased. Hanju remained silent. The hoarse voice continued. I'll just say it directly. Tu Linger is the reincarnated great magus of our magus race. The reason why she approached you is definitely that you can make her stronger. Every great magus has a special ability that they are born with. Tu Linger's special ability is to find the opportunity that's most beneficial to her through the premonition of a dream. This is also the reason why she survived the magus demon calamity. Previously you came to the netherworld. I remember your aura. Therefore, when Tu Linger found you, I specially checked you. You don't have negative karma or a powerful background, but you've come to this point. You might become the hope of the magus race. The hope of the magus race? Mengpa was from the magus race. Hanju thought quickly. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Calm. As long as you lead Tu Linger to become an immortal emperor, you will be a benefactor of the magus race. Hanju asked curiously, what realm is an immortal emperor? Golden immortal? Above golden immortal is immortal emperor. To be honest, the heavenly court might want to clean up the mortal world I'm in. Can you help me? No, the heavenly court is in charge of the netherworld. I have no right to interfere. Then what can I get by helping the magus race? If you die, I can take you in. Hanju was speechless. He felt like he had been fooled. He then asked, Then, can you help me carve out a place in the netherworld where I can stay and not be disturbed? No problem. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. That was more like it. So you agreed? The hoarse voice asked. Hanju replied, I like Tu Linger too. Besides, she has already acknowledged me as her master. The other party had already revealed his cards. If Hanju refused, he might not be able to leave. Mengpa has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability. 3 stars. Hanju immediately used his essence soul as the center and started the simulation trial. He found Mengpo and started fighting. A second later, he was defeated instantly. Hanju wasn't surprised. He just wanted to copy the data and use Mengpo as a template in the future. In Mengpo's eyes, Hanju only closed his eyes for a second, as if he was thinking about something. Hanju cupped his fists and said, I still have to continue breaking through. I won't talk to you anymore. Mengpo's voice sounded. Hanju stopped thinking and focused on absorbing the chi of reincarnation to strengthen his essence soul. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Calm. The Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain regained its calm. Xing Hongxian, Li Qingzi, and the others also left and continued cultivating. The disciples didn't discuss for long. 3 years later, inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju's essence soul returned to his body, which had transformed drastically. With the numinous treasures and supreme treasures shining brightly on him, he resembled an immortal god. He had completely become a reincarnation loose immortal. His strength was more than 100 times stronger than before. Hanju opened his attributes list. Name: Hanju, lifespan 779/1,294,000. Race: immortal. Cultivation: early stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. Technique: 6 paths of reincarnation can be inherited. Magic: unparalleled finger divine sword, 7 illusionary steps, 3 pure shadow sword unparalleled, 9 dragons devil expelling seal, major kiliacosm thunderstorm, wind god technique, still phase technique. Mystical power: 6 paths soul absorption, heavenly punishment ghost deity sword imitate. Heaven and earth, somersault cloud, 10,000 sword sect, can be inherited. Tathagata incantation, 6 paths ultimate seal, firmament sword chi, heaven earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger, universe in the sleeves door of reincarnation invocation technique. Equipment: little universe belt Qilin sword, demon binding rope, burning fiend bell 6th grade numinous treasure, frost lord's glazed crown 4th grade numinous treasure, book of misfortune grand unity supreme treasure, earth emperor's soul ward 3rd grade numinous treasure, heart protecting immortal chain 3rd grade numinous treasure, calm meditation mat grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure, heavenly spirit bracelet supreme grade numinous treasure, purple gold soft armor grand unity 8th grade numinous treasure, 9-layered heaven trampling boots grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure, giant spiritual wrist guard grand unity 5th grade numinous treasure, imperial dragon, destiny carriage grand unity 2nd grade numinous treasure, 9-5 supreme providence robe grand unity supreme treasure, self-created mystical power, 3 pure world cleansing grand unity, sword intent, reincarnation sword intent grand unity, birth dharma treasure, primordial judgment sword, cultivation potential, spiritual physique of the 6 paths. It contains top-notch wind, fire, water, earth, wood and thunder cultivation potentials. Increases providence to a certain extent. Khanate providence is as follows: unparalleled, immortal beauty top-notch charm, destined sword fanatic, top-notch sword Dao aptitude, top-notch sword Dao learning ability, unparalleled movement technique, top-notch movement technique aptitude, descendant of the immortal emperor. After the game begins, you will receive an unparalleled cultivation technique. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. 29 million years of lifespan. Who else could compare to him? Hanju became proud. He loved seeing his lifespan increase. Hanju suppressed his excitement and checked Mengpo's cultivation. Mengpa, early stage of the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm, ghost deity of the Netherworld, created by the Magus race. She is hidden in the Netherworld and holds the responsibility of reincarnation. Her wish is to strengthen the Magus race. Current favorability: 3 stars Grand Unity True Immortal. No wonder he couldn't win. Hanju was secretly glad that he didn't reject Mengpa. Otherwise, he would have died in the netherworld. This was also good. In the future, after the people he cared about passed away, he could greet Mengpa and tell her not to feed them her soup. But then again, the devils and the magi were hiding in the netherworld. Could the netherworld be a refuge for defeated races? Hanju took out the Grand Imperial Phoenix Wings crown and started to make it recognize him as its owner. Several hours later, he put on the Grand Imperial Phoenix Wings crown and decided to give it to Xing Hongxian. Hanju then took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse Vermilion Bird. As for Taoist Juyan, he was no longer a threat. Hanju decided to wait for him to come personally. While cursing, he checked his emails. From them, he could see that the cultivation world seemed to be very peaceful. Only Ji Xianxian had been attacked by true devils dozens of times. Other than that, there was no news of the true devils. Could it be that Ji Xianxian had wiped out the true devils? Goodness, this fellow was a little fierce. He didn't have an illustrious background from his previous life, but he had fought his way out from the crowd of people with great providence and became the #1 prodigy in the world. Hanju checked Ji Xianxian's profile and discovered that his cultivation level had already reached the 4th level of the Mahayana realm. This breakthrough speed was very fast, second only to Hanju himself. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Hanju sent a voice transmission to Dao Comprehension Sword, indicating that she could enter. Hanju sent a voice transmission to Dao Comprehension Sword, indicating that she could enter. Dao Comprehension Sword immediately stood up happily and rushed towards the Khanate cave abode. When the others saw this, they understood that Hanju's seclusion had ended. Morongqi clicked his tongue in wonder. How strong is Grandmaster now? This is the first time he's been in seclusion for so long. Although Hanju had been cultivating diligently all along, he could visit him at any time. Unlike this time, where he was not to be disturbed for several years. Even Dao Comprehension Sword was chased out. I'm not sure. He's probably above the 5th level of the Mahayana realm. Fong Liang shook his head. 5th level of the Mahayana realm? The three-headed Wirem king secretly felt disdain. Your Grandmaster has probably reached the 9th level of the Mahayana realm. The three-headed Wirem king was very curious. Hanju was clearly an ascetic. His cultivation level had reached the peak of the mortal world. So why didn't he ascend? Does he want to experience invincibility? But Hanju didn't go out either. Tu Linger was also very curious about Hanju's cultivation level. On the other side, inside the Khanate cave abode, Dao Comprehension Sword sat on his mat and looked at him curiously. Master, did you break through your realm or cultivate a mystical power? Hanju closed his eyes to cultivate and replied, Realm. He was pleasantly surprised to discover that the Fusang tree was not only emitting heaven and earth spirit qi, but also an even higher level spirit qi. This spirit qi was much stronger than ordinary spirit qi. Could this be the immortal qi from the immortal world? It was very likely. The Fusang tree could attract the golden crows of the upper world to the mortal world, which meant that it had spirit qi that could help the living beings of the upper world cultivate. Hanju was completely relieved. Even if he had stepped into the reincarnation loose immortal realm, he could still cultivate in the mortal world. He was puzzled. Was the reincarnation loose immortal realm equivalent to the loose immortal realm? Visit to Light Novel World. Discover new novels. The 6 realms of reincarnation were divided into loose immortal, earth immortal, heaven immortal, true immortal, mystic immortal, and golden immortal. Was reincarnation earth immortal equivalent to a grand unity earth immortal? He had to ask that good brother. Cultivate well. I have to continue comprehending a mystical power. Hanju interrupted Dao Comprehension Sword and began to comprehend the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. Dao Comprehension Sword suppressed her excitement and began cultivating. Several days later, Hanju entered the Sword Dao River. This time, he didn't cause any phenomenon because he had already surpassed all living beings. The heavenly Dao couldn't control him anymore. He quickly arrived in front of Zhang Guxing. Zhang Guxing smiled and said, You're here again. You Loose immortal realm. You ascended? He was still calm in the beginning, but his tone suddenly increased. Hanju smiled and asked, Senior, I want to ask you something. Above the loose immortal realm, is it Earth Immortal, or Grand Unity Earth Immortal? Zhang Guxing calmed down and replied, It's naturally the Grand Unity Earth Immortal. Above that are the Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, the Grand Unity True Immortal, the Grand Unity Mystic Immortal, and the Grand Unity Golden Immortal. Grand Unity is a Tao fruit. It was created by the Tao sect. When the Tao sect was at its peak, it opened up the cultivation system. The Grand Unity Tao fruit entered deep into the rules of the heavenly Tao. Hanju suddenly understood. So that was the case. He had assumed that the Grand Unity realm was above the 6 realms of reincarnation. That would be too terrifying. But this made sense. He was a sword immortal of reincarnation, and did not follow the conventional system. Hanju continued to ask, Above Grand Unity is Zenith Heaven? In the mythological novels, they all had such systems. In the Taoist texts, it was also mentioned that Grand Unity and Zenith Heaven were on an equal level, but they were different systems. Zhang Guxing replied, In the Savage Era, above Grand Unity was indeed Zenith Heaven. However, over the long years countless experts appeared. They used their own cultivation to increase the power of a certain realm. They passed down such insights for generations, and changed the balance of cultivation realms. Now there are the Emperor Realm and Deity Realm, between Grand Unity and Zenith Heaven. An immortal emperor can escape the 6 paths, and travel freely through the myriad worlds, without restrictions by the rules of the heavenly Tao. They no longer have lifespan restrictions. Immortal emperors are the top existences in the upper world. Even if an immortal emperor dies, as long as a trace of his soul remains, he can make a comeback from the cycle of reincarnation and not have his Tao heart erased. Speaking of the immortal emperor, Zhang Guxing's tone was filled with envy. Hanju couldn't help but think of Morongqi. In his previous life, he had been surrounded and killed by a group of immortal emperors. Could it be that he had reached an even higher realm? This content is taken from Light Novel World. Hanju asked, What about the deity realm? What is it? Zhang Guxing replied, The deity realm is formed by the incense offerings of the mortal world, and enjoys great providence that is inextinguishable. Even if the soul is dispersed, it can still be revived. They're even harder to deal with than immortal emperors. In terms of the strength of their dharmic powers, they're also stronger than those at the emperor realm. Often, mighty figures who have reached the deity realm create their own world. As for the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, that's a supreme existence. Legend has it that the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal is above the 3,000 laws. They can traverse the long river of history, or cross time, space, and karma. Hanju was impressed. He set a small goal. Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. Zhang Guxing changed the topic and asked curiously, You're not even 1,000 years old, and have already become a loose immortal. With your potential, if you transcend the tribulation of ascension, you might be able to directly reach the Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm. You haven't ascended? Hanju nodded and said, Didn't I say before that the vermilion bird is waiting for me in the upper world? I don't want to die, much less delete my account and start over. Delete your account and start over? I mean reincarnation. Oh, the two of them fell silent. After a while, Hanju asked again, How will the heavenly court clean up the mortal world? Do they directly destroy the mortal world or slaughter all living beings? Zhang Guxing replied, Slaughter all living beings. The formation of a mortal world takes countless years. The price to destroy it is too high. Typically, they will only send heavenly soldiers to kill all living beings, and then bring those from other mortal worlds in to reproduce. To the heavenly Tao in the mortal world, all living beings are part of the heavenly Tao. When no living beings remain, the heavenly Tao will be destroyed. How strong are the heavenly soldiers sent by the heavenly court? Most of them are led by Grand Unity Earth Immortals. In some extreme situations, they will send Grand Unity Heaven Immortals. Hanju felt the pressure. He asked some more questions, and Zhang Guxing told him everything he knew. Hanju bid farewell, and continued forward. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, He wanted to see how far he could go. Zhang Guxing looked at Hanju's back and looked forward to it. How far can this kid go? A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Zhang Guxing's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Hanju smiled secretly. I knew it. Strength was the best way to communicate. Back in the cave abode, Hanju's heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger had transformed. It was far stronger than before. After consolidating his comprehension, Hanju immediately entered the simulation trial and fought with Mengpa. He was instantly killed by Mengpa. Hanju fought with Xian Qingjun again and killed her instantly. It was not exciting. Hanju urgently wanted to meet a loose immortal and test his strength. Oh no, my Dao heart is unstable. Shouldn't I stay away from danger? Hanju was secretly vigilant and felt that his thoughts were very dangerous. The heavenly Dao is bewitching me again. Hanju calmed down and didn't think or do anything. After his heart calmed down, he stood up and left. After walking out of the Khanate cave abode, everyone under the Fusang tree stood up. Master! Grandmaster! Tu Linger opened her eyes and looked at Hanju. This was the first time she saw him. What a handsome man! Tu Linger was stunned. Even the heavenly immortal manor did not have such a handsome man. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Tu Linger has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 4 stars. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Four stars of favorability already? 4 stars of favorability already? Hanju sighed secretly. He ignored his disciples and walked toward Xing Hongshuan's cave abode. Arriving there, he was warmly welcomed by her. Hanju wanted to talk to her first, but he didn't expect her to be so eager. He had to use his dermic powers to envelop the cave abode to prevent any commotion from spreading. A month later, the two of them sat facing each other in clean clothes. Hanju took out the Frost Lord's glazed crown and gave it to her. Xing Hongxian accepted it happily and stopped exchanging pleasantries. She took out the pills she coincidentally obtained and wanted to give them to him, but he rejected her. I don't need anything from the mortal world anymore. You should take care of yourself in the future. Hanju smiled. Although he had many female friends, he still liked Xing Hongxian the most. Love was cheap, but true action was rare. To fall in love with someone, it could be because she was good-looking, it could be because she said something that you agreed with, or it could be because she smiled at you when you were at your lowest. But only the true act of giving could prove a person's status in one's heart. In the past, whenever Xing Hongxian went out to train, she would give Hanju treasures when she returned. Although he didn't thank her, he always remembered it. Hanju asked Xing Hongxian to take out the heavenly puppet. As he chatted with her, he helped her change the spirit energy of the heavenly puppet. It was a heavenly puppet with the strength of the loose immortal realm. If Xing Hongxian went out again, it would be difficult for her to die. Xing Hongxian had a smile on her face the entire time. She realized that Hanju had become closer and more talkative than before. She no longer wished to monopolize him. She only hoped that she could become the most important person in his heart. Hanju could sense that she was scheming, but that was not important. She was thinking of all ways to please him. So what could he complain about? Through Xing Hongxian, Hanju also learned about the cultivation world. The heavenly immortal manor was attacked by the devils and was almost destroyed. Fortunately, the other holy lands helped. In the end, Ji Xianxian killed all the true devils alone, and his name shook the world. The current Ji Xianxian was truly the number one in the world. Xing Hongxian snorted. What number one in the world? I think you, my husband, are the number one in the world. However, you keep a low profile like a true cultivator. Hanju snapped. I'll only be satisfied when you become the number one in the world. You can find the rest of this content on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Alright, I'll work hard. I usually cultivate diligently and not waste time. Keep it up. Several days later, the heavenly puppet was updated to the loose immortal dermic powers. Hanju let Xing Hongxian put it away in her storage ring. After that, he brought her out of the cave abode and called Fairy Shixian, Chang Yuer, Li Qingzi, and Su Qi to the Fusang tree. Hanju deliberately let the chaotic heavenly dog, Fang Liang, and Morong Qi surround Su Qi and suppress his bad luck. He began to preach the Tao to everyone. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, Hanju's understanding of the great Tao deepened. His words could allow everyone to gain a deep understanding. His voice could also temporarily increase everyone's comprehension. The reason was that Hanju had integrated his Tao into his voice and let them comprehend it together. The lecture lasted for a year. Hanju stopped talking, and everyone regained their senses. Tu Linger's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability: 5 stars. Not only Tu Linger, but the others' favorability also increased. Hanju stood up and smiled. That's enough. I should continue cultivating. He turned around and walked back to the Khanate cave abode. Tao comprehension sword hurriedly followed. Li Qingzi sighed. Elder Han is really becoming more and more powerful. I feel like he's already become an immortal. Fairy Shixian asked curiously. If he became an immortal, how can he stay in the mortal world? The others were also curious about Hanju's realm. Su Qi left first. He hurried back to his cave abode and continued comprehending the great Tao. After becoming a loose immortal, Hanju didn't relax and continued cultivating diligently. As long as the Jade Pure Sacred Sect was safe, he did not care about the cultivation world's affairs. 5 years passed. Ji Xianxian came again. Where's Guan Yu? Come out and fight. This time, Ji Xianxian no longer sent a voice transmission to Hanju. Instead, he shouted loudly, resounding through the entire Jade Pure Sacred Sect, so that everyone could hear him clearly. Under the Fusang tree, Tu Linger opened her eyes and looked surprised. Why was Ji Xianxian here? For more, visit Light Novel World. Kam Morong Qi asked curiously. Who is Guan Yu? Yang Tiandong smiled and said, It's your grandmaster. He has other names like Chao Chao and Zhao Yin. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju frowned. This fellow was a little arrogant this time. It seemed that becoming the number 1 in the world had made him arrogant. Hanju immediately started the simulation trial. Instant kill. That's it. Hanju shook his head and laughed. He felt that Ji Xianxian was too arrogant. He immediately disappeared from the cave abode. Several dozen li away, it was still that forest. Hanju appeared in front of him. The current Ji Xianxian wore a golden robe, but it was still inferior to Hanju's 9-5 Supreme Providence robe. Ji Xianxian glanced at him and was secretly jealous. He's dressed even flashier than me, Ji Xianxian said proudly. Guan Yu, I've already killed dozens of Mahayana realm devils. My strength is no longer the same as before. Do you dare to fight me? Hanju said expressionlessly. Didn't you say that you won't disturb me anymore? I just want to spar with you. There's no end to it. Why don't we fight to the death? So arrogant? Hearing Hanju's tone, Ji Xianxian was also furious. But on second thought, what if he couldn't defeat Hanju? He hesitated. He gritted his teeth and said, This time if I lose again, I'll ascend directly. I won't disturb you anymore. You're sure? Yes, we'll only fight, not have a battle of life or death. Hanju suddenly took a step forward. The two were less than half a meter apart. Hanju raised his hand and pressed on Ji Xianxian's shoulder. His dermic powers erupted and suppressed him. Boom! Ji Xianxian couldn't take it anymore. His legs went soft, and he knelt down on one knee, causing the forest to shake violently. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. His face turned pale. Impossible. This spirit energy. Ji Xianxian wanted to break free, but he couldn't. The spirit energy in his body couldn't rush out. Hanju's dermic powers formed shackles and imprisoned him. After a long while, Ji Xianxian lowered his head and gritted his teeth. I've lost. Not only was he defeated, but he was also utterly defeated. Hanju retracted his hand and said, Cultivate well. With your talent, you will surpass me sooner or later. As for ascension, wait a little longer. The mortal world needs your protection. This fellow can't ascend now. The heavenly court is about to arrive. Ji Xianxian took a deep breath. He also had his dignity to uphold. I'll never come again. Ji Xianxian stood up and left. Hanju flashed back into the cave abode and continued cultivating. Under the Fusang tree, Tu Linger and Fang Liang were still in shock. The others didn't know Ji Xianxian, but they knew him. Although they were dozens of kilometers away, they could see it clearly with their cultivation. Ji Xianxian was pressed to the ground by Hanju and couldn't move. How great was the difference in cultivation. I came to the right place, Tu Linger thought to herself. However, so far, Hanju had never officially said that he wanted to take her in as his disciple. Could it be that he was still worried about her? Was it because of her previous identity? Tu Linger was troubled. How should she please Hanju? When she thought of his unparalleled appearance, she couldn't help but blush. TSK. How can we cultivators think about such trivial matters? Should I give him a treasure? The source of this content is Light Novel World. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Defeating Ji Xianxian didn't make Hanju too happy. Defeating Ji Xianxian didn't make Hanju too happy. The fact that Ji Xianxian had the time to challenge him meant that the true devil calamity had ended. Hanju understood something. No matter who left the world, it would still continue to advance. From the looks of it, the devils are defeated and the demonic path is suppressed. The heavenly court shouldn't need to clean up the mortal world, right? Hanju thought silently. No, I have to have a foolproof plan. Hanju's essence soul immediately left his body and jumped into the netherworld. Jumping from the living world to the netherworld was faster than him rushing to the ends of the mortal world. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, Hanju could clearly sense the existence of the netherworld and the immortal world. Above was the immortal world, and below was the netherworld. As for the other worlds, he couldn't sense them for the time being. Senior Mengpa, Hanju shouted. Ghost mist filled the surroundings. The world was dark, and there was no sun or moon. It was like the deepest part of the abyss. What is it? Mengpo's voice sounded. Hanju asked. If I want to bring some people to the netherworld, can you allow it? The living are not allowed to enter the netherworld. You can kill them. When the time comes, I'll send their souls to you. Hanju smiled and asked. Senior, are you serious? Mengpa said helplessly. I'm only a ghost servant. I can't make decisions in the netherworld. If the Magus race rises in the future, I can help you. Then, what can you help me with now, Senior? You wanted me to accept Tu Linger, so I took her in, but you can't do anything for me. Do you want to gain something for nothing? Mengpa fell silent. Hanju was also silent. Could it be that Mengpa was angry and wanted to kill him? If that was the case, he couldn't befriend her. Hanju panicked. After a while, the most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Mengpa sighed. How about I give you 2 ghost servant spots? Hanju said helplessly. I still have to kill them in that case. I'll give you a resurrection lily. It can increase spirit chi and produce fruits that can revive the dead. The resurrection lily could still bear fruit? Hanju learned something. Alright, how can I obtain the resurrection lily? Hanju asked. In the dead of the night, I'll get the black and white deities to send it to your cave abode. Alright, I'll leave Tu Linger in your care. No problem. Hanju cupped his fists in the air and bowed before leaving. Late at night, Hanju patiently waited for the arrival of the black and white deities. Speaking of which, he had never seen a ghost servant before. There were very few ghosts in the Jade Pure Sacred sect. After all, it was a righteous sect with providence protecting it. After a disciple died, their soul would be directly reincarnated and sucked into the netherworld. They wouldn't be reduced to wandering ghosts. At midnight, a cold wind blew into the Khanate cave abode. 2 ghosts passed through the stone door, one black and one white. They looked like the black and white deities of the legends. They wore long ghost robes and had sinister faces. Their tongues fell outside their mouths and reached their chests. They were quite terrifying. The 2 ghosts looked identical. The only difference was that they were black and white. Hang ghosts. Hanju couldn't help but retort internally. Dao Comprehension Sword was still cultivating. She clearly could not sense the arrival of the black and white deities. the black deity came in front of Hanju and said respectfully, Mengpa asked the two of us to bring this treasure to you. He waved his right hand, and a flower appeared on the table. The leaves of the resurrection lily were red in color. The petals were narrow and thin as if thousands of red lines had burst out. It was strange and beautiful. Hanju immediately used the simulation trial test. Black and white deities. 5th level of the loose immortal realm. Netherworld ghost servants. Only at the 5th level of the loose immortal realm? Hanju thought that the black and white deities were very strong. Follow new episodes on the light novel world.com platform. He asked curiously, Are you two the only black and white deities in the underworld? The white deity smiled. No. The two of us are only responsible for the otherworldly ghost affairs in this mortal world. The black and white deities of a mortal world? Farewell. The black deity cupped his hands and left with the white deity. Before they reached the stone door, they vanished into thin air. Hanju stood up and picked up the resurrection lily. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, Who were you talking to just now? Hearing this, Hanju casually replied, 2 ghost servants. Ghost servants? Dao Comprehension Sword felt her blood run cold. Why didn't she see them? Hanju carefully sized up the resurrection lily. He could feel that this flower contained a huge amount of spirit qi, and the qi of reincarnation. As expected of a flower from the netherworld, Hanju couldn't judge the value of the resurrection lily. He planted it in the corner of the cave abode. Take care of this flower in the future, Hanju instructed Dao Comprehension Sword. Dao Comprehension Sword hurriedly nodded and stared at him planting the lily in the corner. Hanju returned to the bed and started cultivating. The reincarnation loose immortal realm was not divided into 9 minor realms. It was divided into the early, middle, late, and perfect stages. Since it was divided into 4 levels, Hanju would definitely take longer to break through each minor realm. The more this was the case, the more Hanju had to spend his energy on cultivation. He couldn't slack off. Above the layers of clouds, a black crack appeared in the blue sky. Lightning flowed out like a snake. A figure slowly stepped out from the black crack. It was Taoist Juyan. He opened his arms and breathed in the spirit qi of the mortal world. He sighed. The mortal world is still the best. Another figure stepped out from the black crack behind him. It was a woman in black. The woman had a cold expression, and her beautiful hair was tied into a bun. Her posture was dignified, but there was a sinister look in her eyes. Follow current novels on Light Novel World.com. I won't interfere in matters of the mortal world unless I encounter an existence that has surpassed the mortal world, the black-robed woman said. Taoist Juyan hurriedly turned to look at her. He bowed and said, Thank you for following me, senior. The woman in black grunted coldly. I wonder what relationship you have with him. Since he personally asked, I came to help you. Go on. I'll stroll around the mortal world. Taoist Juyan smiled apologetically and nodded. The woman in black vanished. Taoist Juyan heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. Heavenly immortal manner. And the guy who killed my pet don't even think about escaping. 10 years passed after planting the resurrection lily. Hanju, who was cultivating, opened his eyes and frowned slightly. For some reason, he had been feeling uneasy recently. This feeling was becoming stronger. The last time was when a true devil attacked. Is the devil race up to something again? Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the vermilion bird to vent. He cursed as he checked his interpersonal relationships. After so many years, his friends had all improved. The slowest were the original elders of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, including Li Qingzi. His potential was too mediocre. The current Jade Pure Sacred Sect was already considered a holy land. The disciples they recruited were not only from the Great Yin, but also from the surrounding states. Their aptitudes far exceeded the previous disciples. As the Jade Pure Sacred Sect became stronger, the elders also constantly changed. Most of the people had left by themselves, as they could not withstand the pressure. When the average cultivation level of the core disciples reached the nascent soul realm, the nascent soul realm elders were indeed very embarrassed. No, I can't increase my cultivation level for the time being. I have to strengthen my mystical power. After all, the heavenly court can come at any time. Hanju thought silently. 6 days later, he began to comprehend the 3 pure world cleansing. A month later, he continued to study the somersault cloud. He couldn't only think of insta-kill, but also develop in all directions. A year later, Hanju comprehended his mystical powers and soared intent to their limits. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm, he heaved a sigh of relief as the uneasiness in his heart finally dissipated. I knew it. Safety still depended on one's own strength. Read at Wuxia World. EU. After a year of comprehension, Hanju felt his strength increase greatly. After a year of comprehension, Hanju felt his strength increase greatly. He began the simulation trial against the black and white deities. 1 against 2. The black and white deities were both at the 5th level of the loose immortal realm. At the beginning of the battle, Hanju directly used 3 pure world cleansing. Millions of sword shadows erupted, attacking the black and white deities until they had nowhere to hide. He killed them instantly. Hanju was the sword immortal of reincarnation. He could directly kill the existing beings of the 2 realms. Not bad. It was fine as long as he could kill them instantly. He wondered if he could instantly kill Taoist Juyin, who was at the 8th level of the loose immortal realm. Thinking of him, Hanju suddenly felt that he had gotten too complacent. Perhaps the uneasiness did not come from the heavenly court, but Taoist Juyin? It was very likely. Hanju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing him. 6 days after the curse, he was still worried. Should he sacrifice some of his lifespan and curse Taoist Juyin to death? He had 1,000,000 years of life, anyway. Hanju was very tempted by this thought. No. After the first attempt, there would be a second time and countless times ahead. This was just like the in-game transactions of the modern world. This was a trap, a huge trap. Hanju shook his head and laughed. Then, he started to check his emails. He wondered how the cultivation world was in the past years. Your good friend Mo Fujo encountered a fortuitous encounter. With the blessing of a divine beast, his providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianxin was attacked by your enemy Taoist Juyin. He is severely injured. Your good friend Ji Lingchan was attacked by your enemy, Taoist Juyin. He died. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X76544. Your grand disciple Feng Liang dreamed of the heavenly Tao during his cultivation. His cultivation has increased greatly. The latest episodes are on the Light Novel World. Com website. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun was attacked by demons, X10223. Taoist Juyin. This guy actually descended into the mortal world? Hanju was shocked. Ji Xianxin was severely injured and Ji Lingchan was directly killed. Could it be that the heavenly immortal manor had been destroyed by Taoist Juyin? No, he had to curse this fellow to death. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune again and continued cursing Taoist Juyin. Although he could insta-kill the black and white deities, it did not mean that he could insta-kill Taoist Juyin. He might not even win. After all, there was a difference of 3 minor realms between the black and white deities and Taoist Juyin. Far away, the mountains were continuous, and the sky was so beautiful. On a huge peak tens of thousands of feet high, palaces were destroyed one after another. Smoke curled up. Taoist Juyin sat in a broken hall. His face was pale as if he was severely injured. In the corner of the hall, the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manor were trapped in a circle of light, including Ji Xianxin. What happened to him? Injured? Who injured him? It might be Qi deviation. He's a fiendish cultivator to begin with. He might be harboring demons in his heart and is fighting against them. Sigh. What does he want to do with us? Why didn't he kill us? Ji Xianxin's expression darkened. He didn't participate in the discussion. He stared at Taoist Juyin, wishing he could tear him into pieces. Facing Taoist Juyin, he had been utterly defeated. It was even worse than facing Hanju. The latter had at least held back, but Taoist Juyin did not. Not only had Taoist Juyin defeated him, but he had also trampled on his dignity. Ji Xianxin was waiting for an opportunity. He didn't know why Taoist Juyin did not kill them all, but he knew that this was an opportunity. At this moment, boom! Taoist Juyin spat out a mouthful of blood, splattering all over the ground. His aura weakened. He clutched his chest and opened his eyes. With a sinister expression he muttered, "Damn it! Who is it?" He panicked. He was cursed again, and this time the curse was stronger than before. His dermic powers quickly melted, and his lifespan decreased. At this rate he might die. Taoist Juyin hurriedly cast a spell, and called out to the woman in black. Before long, a black vortex appeared in front of him. The woman in black stepped out. "What's the matter? Why are you so panicked?" The black-dressed woman asked impatiently. Her gaze landed on Taoist Juyin as her expression changed slightly. Taoist Juyin began to bleed from his 7 apertures. He was extremely miserable. He gritted his teeth and said, "The curse I mentioned before has begun again. It's stronger than before." The woman in black raised her right hand and pinched her fingers to deduce. However, she couldn't figure out where the curse came from. She had no choice but to stand behind Taoist Juyin. She placed her palms on his back and used her spirit energy to heal him. In less than 5 breaths of time, the black-dressed woman also began to bleed from her 7 apertures. She had no choice but to stop. "No, this curse is too strong," the woman in black said in a low voice. Taoist Juyin was in despair. He hurriedly shouted, "Can you ask a senior for help? Hurry up, I can't hold on anymore." The woman in black hesitated for a moment before taking out a token and probing with her divine sense. The people from the heavenly immortal manor were stunned. Curse. Was someone cursing Taoist Juyin? They were overjoyed. Taoist Juyin was a mighty cultivator who had ascended. To be able to curse him until he was severely injured, it had to be an immortal god. The black-robed woman stared at Taoist Juyin and said, "You have to find a place with the greatest providence to suppress the curse. Otherwise, you won't live until help arrives." Taoist Juyin nodded. The 2 of them immediately stood up and disappeared. As for the people from the heavenly immortal manor, in Taoist Juyin's opinion, they couldn't escape at all. The mortal world was the biggest prison. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Under your curse, your enemy Taoist Juyin's lifespan decreased by 500,000 years, and he was severely injured. Seeing this email, Hanju immediately stopped. He wiped the blood from his face and nodded in satisfaction. He had lost nearly 100 years of his lifespan from this curse. Although it was nothing compared to his 1 million years of lifespan, he still felt heartache. Only this time. There will be no next time. Hanju thought silently and started to heal. Several days later, his injuries recovered and he continued cultivating. His injuries were not considered serious, but Taoist Juyin wouldn't recover for decades. A few decades was enough for Hanju to break through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. The immortal qi emitted by the Fusang tree was even more abundant than its spirit qi. Hanju could feel his dermic powers increasing every day. Good times did not last. A month later, Taoist Juyin and the black-robed woman arrived. They stood on the clouds and looked at the distant Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. They were surprised. This mountain actually contains immortal qi. How can this be? Taoist Juyin was shocked. Before he ascended, he had traveled the world and had never seen such a precious mountain. The black-dressed woman's gaze landed on the peak of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. She saw the Fusang tree. The 2 fire ravens on the Fusang tree seemed to be. Her eyes widened in shock. Impossible. 2 young golden crows. Could this mountain be the territory of the Golden Crow divine clan? She took a deep breath and carefully advanced with Taoist Juyin. Currently, only this place could help him suppress the curse. Arriving in front of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, the black-robed woman did not dare to forcefully break the formation. Instead, she cupped her fists and bowed. "We apologize for coming uninvited. May I know senior's name?" Morong Qi, Fang Liang, Sun Chang'an, and the others under the Fusang tree opened their eyes. They were stunned to find that they could not see through their cultivation levels. The 2 little golden crows spread their wings, as if they were facing a great enemy. Follow new episodes on the light novel world. Com platform. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Daoist Juyan. 8th level of the loose immortal realm. Rogue cultivator of the immortal world. Daoist Juyan. 8th level of the loose immortal realm. Rogue cultivator of the immortal world. Yang Yanjun. 9th level of the loose immortal realm. Disciple of the dragon immortal island in the immortal world. Seeing the 2 lines of words in front of him, Hanju was silent. He was panicking internally. He didn't answer the black-robed woman named Yang Yanjun. Instead, he began to use the simulation trial. Facing Daoist Juyan, the guy was insta-killed. Facing Yang Yanjun, he couldn't kill her instantly. This woman actually had a mysterious Dharma treasure that could block Hanju's attack. Fortunately, a few seconds later, he still killed her with his powerful strength. Hanju tried to fight against 2 at once. 10 breaths later, he opened his eyes. No way. He couldn't kill them instantly. With their abilities, it was very likely that they would harm the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. What should he do? Hanju frowned. Dao Comprehension Sword asked, Master, why are you frowning? Are there enemies outside? Hanju said softly, Stay in the cave abode and don't go anywhere. Hanju got up and walked out of the cave abode. The other party was already here. He couldn't hide even if he wanted to. Before the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, Daoist Juyan and Yang Yanjun were still waiting. Is it really the Golden Crow Divine Clan? Daoist Juyan asked in shock. Yang Yanjun nodded and said, They're indeed Golden Crows, but they're only at the Mahayana realm. Their potential is average in the Golden Crow Divine Clan. But to be able to take in a Golden Crow with ordinary potential, this person is definitely not immortal. We should face him cautiously. Daoist Juyan nodded, his eyes filled with hope. What's the matter, fellow Daoists? Hanju's voice floated out. Daoist Juyan found the voice familiar. He narrowed his eyes and saw Hanju walking out of the cave abode. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. It was him. Daoist Juyan's face instantly turned sinister. The memories of Great Sage Green Python before his death were transmitted to him through a special mystical power. This was also the reason why he hated Hanju. In an instant, Daoist Juyan thought of many possibilities. The person who cursed him was probably Hanju. Daoist Juyan immediately sent a voice transmission to Yang Yanjun and recounted the hatred of his demon pet. Hearing this, Yang Yanjun was not moved. She smiled at Hanju and said, Can you let the 2 of us stay on the mountain for a while? My fellow Daoist is severely injured and needs to find a place to recuperate. She couldn't see through Hanju's cultivation and guessed that he was also from the upper world. In addition, this person was really handsome. Daoist Juyan tried his best to control his emotions and did not interrupt. This kid doesn't know of my existence. I can find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Daoist Juyan thought silently. Hanju's voice floated over. This isn't good. There isn't enough space on the mountain. It can't accommodate you too. Yang Yanjun has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points. 4 stars. 4 stars already? Hanju cursed silently. This woman looked very polite, but he didn't expect her to be so petty. Yang Yanjun sighed and said, Fellow Daoist, how can you be so heartless? You're leaving us in the lurch. We're only staying for a while and won't disturb you. Saving a life is better than building a 7-storied pagoda. Daoist 9 cauldrons, and a group of elders rushed over. The other party wanted to stay in the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain as soon as they arrived. They were clearly not ordinary people. Fellow Daoists, which sect are you from? Daoist 9 cauldrons cupped his fists and asked with a smile. He was very smart and did not go up. He kept his distance from Yang Yanjun and Daoist Juyan. Yang Yanjun glanced at him, and then looked at Hanju again. Fellow Daoist, you really can't accept us? Although she couldn't see through Hanju's cultivation, she didn't feel any danger from him. Hanju's attitude was not firm either. It seemed that he didn't have a powerful background. Yang Yanjun had also asked around before descending into the mortal world. There was no famous deity lurking in this mortal world. With that thought, Yang Yanjun raised her right hand, and a flying dagger appeared in her hand. Hanju narrowed his eyes and asked, "Are you threatening me?" He immediately flashed out of the Cultivate diligently become a mortal mountain and arrived outside the mountain protecting array formation. You can find the rest of this content on the light novel world.com platform. Yang Yanjun narrowed her eyes and smiled. "We have no choice. We have to stay on your mountain for a period of time. I hope that fellow Taoist won't go too." Before she could finish speaking, Hanju suddenly waved his sleeve. The primordial judgment sword had already appeared in his hand. In an instant, countless sword shadows shot out along the edge of the sword, turning into a black torrent that swept towards her. Yang Yanjun's expression changed drastically. She didn't expect Hanju to be so decisive. Almost instantly, Yang Yanjun threw the flying dagger. The flying dagger transformed into a 1,000-foot-long saber in front of her, blocking Hanju's sword shadows. Boom! In the battle of the loose immortals, the pressure shook the world. Even the sky was torn apart as bolts of heavenly lightning appeared. Taoist's 9 cauldrons, and the elders retreated in fear. Under the Fusang tree, everyone watched nervously. What a terrifying aura! What realm are they at? Cold sweat broke out on Morongqi's forehead. He thought that he was already considered an expert, but facing the pressure of Hanju and Yang Yanjun, he realized how tiny he was. The others were also shocked. Tu Linger looked at Hanju with glowing eyes. Taoist Juyan was shocked. He didn't expect Hanju to be so powerful. At this moment, Hanju suddenly raised his left hand and pointed his index finger at Taoist Juyan. Heaven Earth Mystic Yellow World Piercing Sword Finger. Swish! Sword chi shot out, sweeping through the sky. Yang Yanjun widened her beautiful eyes and shouted, "How dare you!" Hanju fought with her, and still dared to attack Taoist Juyan. Was he not afraid of offending them? The heavily injured Taoist Juyan did not even have time to react before he was killed by the sword chi. He died. His soul dissipated. This content is taken from Light Novel World.com. Hanju approached Yang Yanjun. He sheathed his sword with his right hand and pointed it at the sky. Sword intent soared into the sky, and a sea of sword chi quickly appeared in the blue sky. It was magnificent and stretched for a few hundred kilometers. "You're dead meat." Yang Yanjun was furious. Her mission was to protect Taoist Juyan, but she didn't expect him to die in front of her. How could she answer to her senior now? She had to kill this person. She would also occupy the precious mountain. Yang Yanjun cast a spell with both hands, and the huge flying dagger shot towards Hanju. She wanted to interrupt him from using his mystical power. Unexpectedly, Hanju ignored her flying dagger and continued to use the 3 pure world cleansing. Countless sword shadows condensed from the sea of sword chi. There were millions of them. They soared into the sky and shook the world. All the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect looked up, dumbfounded. From their vision, the entire sky was filled with sword shadows. This was the first time they had encountered such a scene in their lives. Boom! The huge flying dagger collided with Hanju. A strong light burst out from his body and forcefully blocked the flying dagger. Grand Unity Supreme Treasure! Yang Yanjun cried out involuntarily. How could this fellow have a Grand Unity Supreme Treasure? Hanju replied by attacking. Millions of sword shadows swooped down like the sky was collapsing. All the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect felt a strong wind descend from the sky, pressing them to the ground. The mountains shook and the ground cracked. Yang Yanjun quickly cast a spell. Her dermic powers shone around her like a huge ball of light. Boom! 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 Countless sword shadows descended madly, causing the huge ball of light to tremble violently. Yang Yanjun's body also trembled. He's not a loose immortal? Yang Yanjun thought in horror. Oh no! The source of this content is Light Novel World.com. She couldn't block it. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Hanju stared at Yang Yanjun. Seeing that she didn't escape, he was overjoyed. Hanju stared at Yang Yanjun. Seeing that she didn't escape, he was overjoyed. Since you're so bold, don't even think about leaving. Hanju waved his sword again. The sea of sword chi in the sky condensed countless sword shadows again, and attacked Yang Yanjun with the momentum of a collapsing sky. It was unstoppable. Yang Yanjun was shocked and immediately moved. However, at that moment, as soon as her dermic powers dissipated, she was injured by Hanju's sword chi. She moved dozens of kilometers away, and just as she appeared, she was so angry that a mouthful of blood rushed up to her throat. Boom! Yang Yanjun raised her hand and waved, causing the flying dagger to tear through the air and land in her hand again. Damn it! If not for the heavenly rules, how could I be in such a sorry state? Yang Yanjun cursed angrily. She threw the flying dagger above her head and quickly cast a spell with both hands. Boom! The world trembled as the spirit chi of the land gathered towards her flying dagger, forming a visible airwave. It was a spectacular sight. She had no intention of escaping. She still wanted to fight. Hanju completely infuriated her. Swish! A piercing sound came. It was the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. Yang Yanjun was already mentally prepared and immediately dodged. Just as she turned around, Hanju appeared behind her. He used the somersault cloud as a foundation last year to create a grand unity movement technique. He could jump behind the enemy with just one follow-up move. It was extremely precise. Yang Yanjun saw him from the corner of her eye, and her pupils widened. Impossible! A black sword chi suddenly erupted and soared into the sky. It was like a brush waving towards the sky, hanging high above the ground. Yang Yanjun's body was directly destroyed by Hanju's sword chi, leaving only her essence soul in front of him. I'm a disciple of the Dragon Immortal Island. My senior brother is a heavenly general of the heavenly court. Yang Yanjun exclaimed. Just as she finished speaking, she immediately turned around and her essence soul flew away. Hanju waved his sword, and a million sword shadows came from all directions, directly killing her. She was finally dead. Was the heavenly general very impressive? The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. I'm a descendant of an immortal emperor. Hanju secretly felt disdain. With things developing to this point, even if he let Yang Yanjun go, it was impossible to end this bad karma. Hanju raised his left hand and sucked in a storage ring and a flying dagger into his palm. He flew towards the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. Along the way, he did not find Taoist Jian's storage ring. It was probably destroyed by the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. After returning to the Fusang tree, everyone immediately surrounded him. Even Xing Hongxian, Fairy Xixian, Chang Yuer, and Li Qingzi were there. Master, how's the situation? Who are those two? Grandmaster is too powerful. Need you ask? They're definitely dead. Who in the world can survive against our master? Everyone was very excited. In the past, Hanju almost always killed his enemies instantly. It was rare for him to fight in such a manner. They couldn't forget the sword shadows that filled the sky and the pressure that made their souls tremble. The three-headed Wirem king was the most shocked. He, who was at the 6th level of the Mahayana realm, was also forced to kneel on the ground. What did that mean? This meant that Hanju and Yang Yanjun had definitely surpassed the Mahayana realm, and were at the immortal realm. Hanju smiled and said, "It's fine. You can continue cultivating." With that said, he returned to the Khanate cave abode. There was no need to tell others about some things. It would only cause panic. When Taoist Nine Cauldrons saw that the battle had ended, he hurriedly got the elders to comfort the disciples. Today's battle caused the deity-slaying elder's name to shake the sect again. After so many years, many disciples had almost forgotten about the deity-slaying elder. The most excited were the new disciples. They didn't expect the deity-slaying elder to be so terrifying. Inside the Khanate cave abode, as Hanju started to check Yang Yanjun's storage ring, Dao Comprehension Sword came over curiously. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Platform. Yang Yanjun was indeed from the upper world. She was really rich. She had Dharma treasures, spell scrolls, divine power scrolls, and so on. She had everything she needed and many pills that could help loose immortals cultivate. He had made a killing. Yang San has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 6 stars. Taoist Dan Qing has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points. 3 stars. 2 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. He wasn't surprised. To sum it up, there were only 2 words. A loop. After killing the young, the old would come. Was this the cycle of life? Everyone was interconnected in some way. If someone killed Hanju's disciples, he would definitely take revenge. Moreover, the people of the upper world definitely have a mystical power that could deduce who had killed the person they cared about. Only the 2 of them had developed hatred towards Hanju. He felt that it was too small of a number. It seemed that Yang Yanjun was not good with interpersonal relationships. Hanju pulled out his interpersonal relationships and started to check their information. Yang San, late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal, 8th grade Heavenly General of the Heavenly Court. Because you killed his beloved junior sister Yang Yanjun and his subordinate Taoist Juyan, who was supposed to be nurtured, he has developed hatred towards you. He won't rest until you're dead. Current hatred points. 6 stars. Taoist Dan Qing. Mid-stage Grand Unity True Immortal, one of the 7 Taoists of the Dragon Immortal Island. He has developed hatred towards you because you killed his beloved disciple, Yang Yanjun. If you meet, he will definitely kill you. Current hatred points. 3 stars. Late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm. Mid-stage Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. Great. They were all very strong. Hanju forced a smile and panicked internally. However, he noticed that Taoist Dan Qing's message said that if they met, that meant that he would not descend into the mortal world. There was also Yang San. As a heavenly general of Heavenly Court, when it was time to clean up the devils, this fellow would definitely lead the team personally. No, he had to be cursed. Updated from Light Novel World. Hanju didn't curse immediately. He would curse again after some time to avoid being discovered. Once Yang San and Taoist Dan Qing discovered that Hanju was cursing them, they would definitely get rid of him as soon as possible. In a bright hall, the stone pillars and decorations shook. A handsome man sat at the head of the table. He wore a loose Taoist robe. At this moment, his face was filled with anger, and the killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. Junior sister. Yang San gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot, and his eyeballs were about to turn into blood beads. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let junior sister go. If I had waited longer, when the Heavenly Court took away the heavenly rules, how would her cultivation level at the early stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm be restricted to the loose Immortal Realm, and how would she die? Yang San muttered in pain. How could he have expected loose immortals to be hidden in the mortal world? It was all Taoist Juyan's fault. This fellow kept urging him to descend into the mortal world, but he ended up dragging his junior sister down with him. Whoever he is, that fellow is so ruthless. He even killed a woman without a second thought. His junior sister had already announced her identity in the end, but he actually did not give them face. Yang San hated Hanju so much that he wanted to cut him into pieces. When he caught Hanju, he would let him taste the most painful punishment. No, I have to report this to an immortal official. Yang San immediately stood up and turned into a gust of wind, rushing out of the hall. After killing Yang Yanjun and Taoist Juyan, Hanju removed Yang Yanjun's flying dagger and gave it to Su Qi. Su Qi happened to lack a powerful Dharma treasure. Hanju took out Yang Yanjun's pills and continued cultivating. He wanted to break through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm as soon as possible. With his strength, it was very difficult for him to defeat a late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal. A year later, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Yang San. From now on, the Vermilion Bird's curse could be delayed. Yang San was his top target. Just as he started cursing, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Qi Yunxian has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability. 4 stars. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Qi Yunxian? Qi Yunxian? Who? Hanju was stunned and immediately checked his profile picture. At a glance, Qi Yunxian looked like a mortal. He had a head of crimson hair, and he was not handsome, but neither was he ugly. His pupils were green, and it was difficult to tell what race he was. Qi Yunxian, early stage Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, 6th grade Immortal Official of the Heavenly Court. He controls the Heavenly Tao in the mortal world. Because Yang San reported you killing Yang Yanjun to the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Court, he is extremely dissatisfied with Yang San. At the same time, he has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability: 3 stars, early stage Grand Unity Heaven Immortal. That was a bit too high. Hanju was secretly surprised. Cultivation realms were divided into Loose Immortal, Grand Unity Earth Immortal, Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, Grand Unity True Immortal, Grand Unity Mystic Immortal, and Grand Unity Golden Immortal. In other words, Qi Yunxian was stronger than Yang San. He controlled the heavenly Tao of the mortal world. Could he be the heavenly deity of the mortal world that Hanju was in? If that was the case, Hanju could understand. Yang San was basically messing with Qi Yunxian's territory. How could he tolerate that? However, this was only Hanju's guess. If the Heavenly Court really wanted to clean up this mortal world, would a 6th grade immortal official like Qi Yunxian dare to refute? Hanju stopped thinking and continued cursing Yang San. 6 days later, he ended the curse and started cultivating. No matter what, he had to hurry up and become stronger. 3 years later, detected that you are 800 years old, and your life has taken another step forward. You have the following choices. 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal god. You can obtain a supreme treasure. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Cultivate in the mortal world, and you can obtain a mystical power inheritance. Hanju looked at the 3 lines of words in despair, and did not immediately make a choice. Unknowingly, he was already 800 years old. He couldn't help but feel melancholic. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm life really passed quickly. Hanju silently chose the second option. You choose not to ascend for the time being, and obtain a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power. 3 heads 6 arms, 3 heads 6 arms. Manifest a Dharma body with 3 heads and 6 arms. You can use 6 Dharma treasures at the same time. Your physical strength will increase greatly. Hanju immediately started to inherit the 3 heads 6 arms mystical power. Several days later, he completely grasped the mystical power. When he transformed into 3 heads 6 arms, Tao Comprehension Sword was shocked. Upon learning that this was a mystical power, Tao Comprehension Sword indicated that she also wanted to learn it. Hanju sized her up and said, "You're so good-looking. Learning it will affect your image." Tao Comprehension Sword was rejected. It was not sad but rather happy. "I'm good-looking?" The next second, she thought of another question. Her image was that of the previous immortal god owner. Did Hanju like her or the previous owner? With this in mind, Tao Comprehension Sword felt depressed again. Hanju didn't care about her change in expression and continued cultivating. As Tao Comprehension Sword matured, she also gained human emotions. It was normal for her emotions to change. As the saying went, a woman's heart was as deep as the ocean. Hanju checked his interpersonal relationships as he cultivated. He was already 800 years old. Fairy Shixian was definitely more than 1,000 years old. He didn't know when her lifespan limit would come. Currently, Fairy Shixian had already broken through to the 5th level of the soul formation realm. Her progress was not bad. Thanks to the spirit chi of the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, and the opportunities she had encountered. Xing Hongxian and Chang Yue were still at the nascent soul realm, but they were already close to the soul formation realm. Mo Zhu was already at the soul formation realm. The Mo family was quite something. Li Qingzi was stuck at the 2nd level of the soul formation realm, and could not make any progress. His potential was a real problem. Su Qi had already stepped into the void amalgamation realm. The Black Hell Chicken was also at the void amalgamation realm, still far from the body integration realm. Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the chaotic heavenly dog were still at the soul formation realm, and were already close to the void amalgamation realm. Follow new episodes on the light novel world.com platform. Feng Liang and Morong Qi had entered the void amalgamation realm one after another. The talent of the third-generation disciples was terrifying. Ever since Tu Linger came to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, she had not broken through to the body integration realm. But she was close. The two little golden crows reached the 8th level of the Mahayana realm. The three-headed Wirem king did not make any progress in his cultivation. Hanju looked at his emails again. Peace had returned to the cultivation world. Ji Xianxin, Huang Jihao, Zhou Fan, and Emo Fuzhou had always been in the top 3 on the list of people attacked. The devils seemed to have stopped. But this made sense. If Hanju was the devil ancestor, he probably would have given up. 10 years later, Hanju finally broke through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. From the early stage to the mid-stage, he spent a total of 31 years. To a loose immortal, this speed was definitely considered fast, but Hanju still felt that it was a little slow. The immortal qi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain was already very dense. In addition, no one was fighting with him for the immortal qi. He enjoyed it alone. Apart from the Fusang tree, the earth immortal gourd vine also began to produce immortal qi. With the addition of the resurrection lily, as time passed, the immortal qi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain would continue to increase. After all, the Fusang tree, the earth immortal gourd vine, and the resurrection lily had yet to reach maturity. When Tao Comprehension Sword and Sun Chang'an broke through to the loose immortal realm, it might also help increase the immortal qi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. After breaking through, the first thing Hanju did was use the simulation trial. 1 against 2, Hanju instantly killed Taoist Jian and Yang Yanjun. He was immediately satisfied. He checked on his friends. No one was dead, and Xing Hongxian and the others were not in danger. He continued cultivating. Several months later, Tu Linger came to visit. In the past 10 years, she had gone out to transcend the tribulation and successfully broke through to the body integration realm. Hanju hesitated for a moment, but still let her in. Although he didn't like Tu Linger's attitude towards the heavenly immortal manor, there was someone behind her, so he couldn't show too much rejection. After all, Mengpa had given him a reward already. Tu Linger came in front of him and bowed. Senior, I've already broken through to the body integration realm. I obtained an opportunity on the way back, and specially came to offer it to you. She took out a palm-sized scale. Hanju glanced at it and asked, "What's this?" He no longer cared about treasures in the mortal world. "I'm not sure either. It's precisely because I'm not sure that I feel that it might be very valuable. I still need your help." Tu Lingers placed herself at a very low status. Hanju took the scale and probed it with his divine sense. He looked surprised. There was a dragon soul hidden in the scale. Furthermore, it was not a mortal soul. It emitted dermic powers. In other words, it was at least a loose immortal. However, this dragon soul was very weak and was nothing to Hanju. Hanju took it for the time being and looked at Tu Linger. "You've done well. Senior, as long as you like it," Tu Linger said happily. Hanju hesitated and said, "From now on, you're my 4th disciple. First disciple Yang Tiandong, second disciple Su Qi, and third disciple Sun Chang'an." Tu Linger said, "I can choose not to be your disciple and be a maid. I can also be like the 3-headed Wirem king and guard this mountain." Hanju frowned. This woman was after his body. Tu Linger's favorability towards him had already reached 5 stars. As long as he asked, she would offer herself to him. However, Hanju didn't want to have a complicated relationship with her. After all, this woman was the reincarnation of a grand magus. With the past of the magus race and the current situation, there would definitely be endless trouble in the future. "I've made up my mind. You can leave." Hanju waved his hand. Tu Linger could only leave unwillingly. After leaving the cave abode, her eyes turned firm. "I won't give up." Visit to Light Novel World.com discover new novels. At this point, Yang Tiandong and the other two had a new junior sister. one who was stronger than them combined. Read at Wuxia World. EU. After 2 linger left, Hanju began to observe the dragon's soul in the scale, then used his divine sense to awaken it. After 2 linger left, Hanju began to observe the dragon's soul in the scale, then used his divine sense to awaken it. Who are you? The dragon's soul asked weakly. Hanju used his divine sense to communicate with it, asking about its identity and why it had fallen to such a state. The dragon's soul did not hide anything. It was already at its wit's end. It was already very difficult for anyone to discover it. This dragon soul came from the true dragon race of the upper world. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the mortal world had just been created. He descended into the mortal world to travel, but in the end, he encountered a battle and died. Only a remnant soul survived. In order to prevent being discovered by the enemy, the dragon soul hid in a snake scale. It wanted to attach itself to a demon beast and absorb its spirit energy to nourish the remnant soul. Unfortunately, after hundreds of thousands of years, this scale was mostly buried in the ground. In order to reduce the consumption of the soul, he could only fall asleep. If you save me, I will definitely repay you, the dragon soul continued. Hanju agreed immediately. All right, I'll think of a way to save you. Nourish my soul with your immortal power every day. You can save me if you persist. All right, thank you. It's fine. Hanju agreed on the surface, but was very dissatisfied inside. I promised to save you. Why didn't you show any favorability? Hanju tried to use his immortal power to nourish the dragon soul. After 2 hours, this guy still did not have a good impression of him. Hanju directly cut off his immortal power. Why did you stop? The dragon soul cried out from within the scale. Yuan Huanglong has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars. The heck? 2 stars of hatred just like that? The source of this content is Light Novel World. Hanju wanted to scold him, but he still carefully checked Yuan Huanglong's information. Abyssal Yellow Dragon, mid-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal from the true dragon race. He has a treacherous and petty personality. He once offended Qi Yunxian and was killed. Because he was dissatisfied with you stopping the immortal power to nourish his remnant soul, he developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars. When Hanju saw this, he realized that it was Qi Yunxian who had killed him. In this case, he didn't have to worry about offending the true dragon race. Hanju immediately probed the scale with his divine sense and wiped away the consciousness of the dragon soul, leaving only an unconscious remnant soul. Devouring remnant souls could strengthen the soul. This was also one of the reasons why possession was so popular. Some mighty figures were able to prosper because they had been possessed by a mighty figure when they were young. In the end, the possessor had suffered a backlash, and the host inherited the memories of the mighty figure. Their souls had transformed, allowing them to soar. There were many such cases. Hanju didn't devour the dragon soul but kept it. When the 3-headed WRM king performed well, he would give it to him. He checked his interpersonal relationships and discovered that Yuan Huanglong's portrait was gone. It meant that he was really dead. Completely relieved, Hanju started cultivating. Dao Comprehension Sword was confused. From her point of view, Hanju had been changing his expression while holding the scale. His emotions were changing, and he was extremely strange. However, she did not ask. This wasn't the first time Hanju did this. 4 years later, Fang Liang and Morong Qi went out to train. The others were still cultivating under the Fusang tree. That day, late at night, in the middle of cultivating, Hanju suddenly felt a powerful divine sense attack. He subconsciously opened his eyes and discovered that his consciousness had arrived in a vast sea of stars. The universe was dark and dotted with millions of stars, looking extremely beautiful. In front of Hanju was a figure surrounded by red clouds. Hanju recognized him immediately. Qi Yunxian. Qi Yunxian sized him up with a smile and asked, "Aren't you afraid?" Hanju said, "If you want to kill me, it's useless even if I'm afraid." As expected of someone who dares to offend the heavenly general, You have already become a loose immortal. Why didn't you ascend? I offended Vermilion Bird and was afraid that he would wait for me. I can secretly send you to the heavenly court to become a heavenly soldier. The Vermilion Bird you offended should be the Judo's father. Back then, when the Vermilion Bird descended into the mortal world, he didn't give me face. I'm also unhappy with him. I can protect you. Qi Yinxian smiled. His attitude surprised Hanju. In his opinion, immortals shouldn't be too straightforward. They were all shrewd and didn't easily fall out with each other. Entering the heavenly court as a heavenly soldier? Hanju was a little resistant. As a soldier, how could he live in seclusion? Besides, the heavenly court would be attacked by demon saints. There would be too much trouble. Hanju asked, "May I know your identity?" Qi Yinxian stroked his beard and smiled. The mortal world you live in is controlled by me, Qi Yinxian. I mainly control the heavenly Tao to prevent any mistakes in the heavenly rules. I can't interfere with matters in the mortal world, but promoting you to the heavenly court is a piece of cake. Hanju continued to ask, I heard that the heavenly court wants to clean up the mortal world. Is this true? Qi Yinxian's expression darkened. Who told you that? To be honest, I know a senior in the Sword Dao River. The Sword Dao River. Could it be that? I didn't expect you to be a genius in the Sword Dao. My mortal world is indeed filled with providence. No wonder the devils have been plotting. Qi Yinxian's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 3/5 stars. Hanju was secretly pleased. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World.com platform. I have quite the reputation, Qi Yinxian said seriously. To be honest, the heavenly court has indeed placed the mortal world you are in on the list of important assessments. This world is very likely to be cleaned up. At that time, all living beings will be annihilated, and the heavenly Tao of this world will no longer exist. I will also be transferred out of my immortal position and become the immortal official of another location. That's why I came to find you. No matter what, you're still a mortal that came out from under me. I'm willing to help you. Hanju frowned and said, Can I bring my disciples along? Qi Yinxian shook his head and said, I'm afraid not. Their cultivation levels are weak. Even if they go to the heavenly court, they won't be able to withstand the immortal qi pressure. Besides, it's against the rules for mortals to enter the heavenly court. I can only bring you into the heavenly court. If the Vermilion Bird causes trouble for you outside, I can't do anything about it. Hanju frowned even more. Qi Yinxian sighed and said, The devils have invaded too deeply. In addition, as a heavenly general, Yang San has been writing letters. Although my immortal position is higher than his, in the eyes of the heavenly court and the heavenly emperor, literature is inferior to martial arts. It's also my fault. I cultivate in seclusion all year round and neglected my jurisdiction in the mortal world. Hanju asked, There are still devils in the mortal world? Yes, there are many descendants of the devil race. They're even hidden in the righteous sects and families. They don't have any demonic nature, and are only the remnant bloodline of the devil race. If they're all killed, the world will probably be in chaos. As a heavenly Tao immortal official, I cannot personally attack the life forms under me. Otherwise, I will suffer a backlash from the heavenly Tao, and can only be executed by the heavenly troops. Qi Yinxian's words made Hanju think of the Mo family. He didn't expect that there were many families like the Mo family. The devils had many tricks up their sleeves. Actually, there's a way. Qi Yinxian suddenly smiled. Hanju asked, What way? Kill all the incoming heavenly troops. Qi Yinxian's words were shocking. Hanju looked at him in surprise. Could this fellow be a traitor? Qi Yinxian said, This is my divine sense world. No one can see through our conversation. In fact, although the heavenly court is the land of immortals and gods that controls the other worlds, there are countless enemies. If you kill all the heavenly soldiers and generals to prove your potential, the heavenly court might recruit you. After the divine palace and Buddhist sect rose, the heavenly court started yearning for powerful prodigies, especially those who come from the mortal world. They don't have a powerful background, but they can slaughter immortals and gods. Such potential is enough to make the heavenly court go mad. 1,000,000 years ago, the heavenly court's divine general slaughtered his way out. Before he ascended, he slaughtered all the immortals who had descended into the mortal world. It shocked the heavenly court. Now, he's the strongest existence among the heavenly generals. He's also the most illustrious immortal in the heavenly court. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Kill the heavenly soldiers and generals before waiting for the heavenly court to recruit me. Kill the heavenly soldiers and generals before waiting for the heavenly court to recruit me? Hanju looked at Qi Yunxian with a strange expression. Was he serious? Then he suddenly thought of a story. The Monkey King Sun Wukong's story. Sun Wukong had a powerful background, but Hanju did not. This was too dangerous. I can't do it. Qi Yunxian smiled and said, if you don't dare and want to live, you can only follow me into the heavenly court. Hanju asked, is there really no other way? No. That's the only way you can save your disciples. When will the heavenly court clean up the mortal world? In a few hundred years or 1,000 years at most. Let me think about it. Qi Yunxian waved his sleeve, and the surrounding sea of stars instantly shattered. Hanju's consciousness returned to his body. Hanju opened his eyes and rubbed his chin in thought. He had to ask his good brother about this. Hanju immediately comprehended the Sword Dao. 10 days later, he entered the Sword Dao River. It was like returning home. He found Zhang Guxing and asked about the divine general. As for Qi Yunxian, he didn't sell him out. Qi Yunxian had already done his best by telling him so much. If Hanju still snitched, would he still be human? This could also offend him. Zhang Guxing said in a low voice. You want to imitate the divine general of the heavenly court? The heavenly emperor does have such a bad habit of praising the strong and bullying the weak. Many heavenly generals in the heavenly court were once enemies of the heavenly court. The heavenly emperor saw that their potential was not bad, and let bygones be bygones. He even rewarded them greatly. You can take this path if you want. If you can enter the eyes of the heavenly emperor, the vermilion bird won't dare to do anything to you. Updated from Light Novel World. Although the heavenly court is wary of the vermilion bird race, they are more concerned about the prodigies. The heavenly emperor once offended the Buddhists for the divine general, and almost caused a war in the immortal world. However, it's difficult to take this path. Besides, you don't have that much time. Hanju sighed and said, I can only try. If it really doesn't work, I can only run. If he couldn't win, he would jump to the netherworld. If the heavenly court asked the netherworld to hunt him down, he would jump to another world. There was always a place to hide. TSK. If you really succeed, your future will be bright. Although the heavenly court has been in constant trouble recently, it is still the force with the strongest foundation in the upper world. It represents the heavenly Tao. Zhang Guxing smiled and wondered internally, who told Hanju about this? This person is truly daring. Hanju sighed. What wrong have most living beings in the mortal world done? They have to face the consequences of being slaughtered. The heavenly troops risk their lives for the heavenly court, but in front of potential, they are all ants. This seemingly great power also has many problems behind it. How could those who believed in immortals know that immortals were only powerful people? The so-called immortals are all lies. Zhang Guxing shook his head. Hanju didn't say much. After knowing that this method was feasible, he left. After Hanju left the Sword Dao River, a purple figure appeared beside Zhang Guxing. Is this the mortal you like? The purple figure asked. Zhang Guxing replied, yes, he's only 800 years old. The purple figure teased. He's not immortal. What? He has the providence of an immortal emperor on him. He's probably a descendant of an immortal emperor, or has received the favor of one. Immortal emperor? I see. Then his future is even more worth looking forward to. What did you expect? You want him to replace you? Let's wait for him to survive this. Let's not talk about him. The Divine Palace asked me to invite you. Are you willing to return? Your true body is still being nurtured in the divine palace. They have never truly given up on you. The situation in the divine palace is too troublesome. I don't want to return. It's good to be here. I have nothing to worry about. I don't have to think about anything else when comprehending the Sword Tao. If my eternal life is like this, I'll be satisfied. Updated from Light Novel World. Com. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Hanju consolidated his newly comprehended Sword Tao. Several days later, he started cultivating again. The mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm was not enough. While Hanju was cultivating in seclusion, the cultivation world was in chaos. The heavenly immortal manor was slaughtered by Taoist Juyin. More than half of them were dead or injured. Many years had passed since this incident. The other holy lands sensed hope and took the opportunity to develop. The fiends even gathered their forces to continue attacking the manor. Although the heavenly immortal manor was suffering, most of the cultivation world was peaceful, no different from the past. Taoist 9 cauldrons began to go out again. He went everywhere to recruit guest elders and new disciples with outstanding cultivation potential. 7 years later, Li Qingzi couldn't take it anymore. His lifespan was up. He came to visit Hanju. Elder Han, I might not be able to last for many years. The treasures in the sect can no longer increase my lifespan. I plan to go out and adventure for a few years. I might die outside like my master. Li Qingzi smiled. He wasn't sad. Instead, he felt relieved. Hanju asked, "Do you have any unfulfilled wishes?" Li Qingzi's smile vanished as he said seriously, "Before you ascend, protect the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and my junior sister, Fairy Shixian." Hanju nodded. Li Qingzi started to talk to him about the past and recounted his life. Hanju listened carefully. Tao Comprehension Sword was also entranced. Li Qingzi's life might not be a legend. From being chosen by the Grand Elder to running around for the sect, he recounted everything calmly. Hanju didn't feel sad, but he did feel a little emotional. It was good that he was dying. He could get a better potential in his next life and pursue the great Tao. Apart from longevity, he had obtained all the fame, power, and women that most people wanted to pursue. He had no regrets in this life. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience, he only left the next day. Hanju stood up and sent him out. Li Qingzi had already visited Fairy Shixian, Taoist 9 cauldrons, and other old friends. Hanju was placed last. The person who had the greatest impact on him in his life might not be Hanju, but Li Qingzi felt that he should be the one to thank the most. Looking at Li Qingzi flying towards the sky, Hanju stood at the edge of the cliff and watched quietly with a calm expression. The black hell chicken didn't joke. Instead, it came to his side and asked, "Master, from now on, do we not have to run?" Although Hanju kept saying that he would escape, the black hell chicken had been here since he could remember. "Not necessarily," Hanju replied. Li Qingzi's departure did not cause a stir in the sect. After so many years, many people had forgotten about him. "If we can meet in the next life, I will give you an opportunity." Hanju chuckled and turned around. It was normal for people to leave each other. Besides, Li Qingzi didn't die with hatred. 4 years later, Hanju saw an email. "Your good friend Li Qingzi's lifespan has reached its end. He has died and fallen into the cycle of reincarnation." Hanju only sighed softly and continued cultivating. After Li Qingzi's death, Hanju's mental state was elevated. 23 years later, Hanju broke through to the late stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. He stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse Yang San, Vermilion Bird, and Taoist Dan Qing. On this day, you can find the rest of this content on the Light Novel World. Com platform. The sky changed violently. An immeasurable black crack appeared above the sea of clouds. When the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect saw this, they all panicked. This was heaven collapsing? Read at Wuxia World. EU. What's that? What's that? The sky split open? Is the demonic path attacking? Everyone be careful. Something's wrong. There's no demonic chi or demonic aura. How long is this crack? The disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect looked up at the crack in the sky and exclaimed. Cultivating in the cave abode, Hanju also sensed the abnormality outside. He extended his divine sense and saw a spectacular and terrifying phenomenon in the sky. He immediately checked the cultivators in the sect. According to their cultivation levels, they didn't find any enemies. He stood up and walked out of the cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword followed closely behind. Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong, and the others came over. Master, where did this heavenly phenomenon come from? Enemy attack? Yang Tiandong asked. Hanju looked up at the sky with narrowed eyes. He saw nothing. Before long, the crack in the sky disappeared, and the sky returned to normal. It was beautiful and magnificent, as if the previous phenomenon was only an illusion. Since it wasn't an enemy attack, Hanju was relieved. He was really afraid that the heavenly court would attack at this moment. With his current cultivation level, how could he block the heavenly troops? Demon Saint, you have to persist, Hanju thought silently. Then he walked to the Fusang tree and began to develop the Fusang tree and the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine. Not bad. The Fusang tree was almost 1,000 feet tall now. The Earth Immortal Gourd Vine was like a snake coiling around the main trunk. The two golden crows also built their nests and cultivated quietly. As time passed, they became less intimate and no longer squeezed together. What was worth mentioning was that perhaps due to the influence of the black hell chicken, the two golden crows had also become sharp-tongued. They often mocked others, especially the chaotic heavenly dog and the three-headed WIRM king. Updated from Light Novel World. Master, I want to go back to the heavenly immortal manor and take a look. I'll be back soon. Tulinger walked to Hanju's side and said carefully, would Master think that she was running away? Hanju replied, go. He wasn't worried about Tulinger at all. So be it if she leaves. When Tulinger heard that, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief and said, don't worry, Master. I'll definitely return as soon as possible. No need for that. Tulinger thought that her master did not want her to tire herself out, so she didn't think too much about it. After she left, Hanju checked his emails. After so many years, it was unknown if the cultivation world was peaceful. Your good friend Emo Fujo was attacked by righteous cultivators, X2993. Your good friend Zhou Fan has joined the 5 Immortal Mountains and has become the disciple of a land deity. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X84333. Your good friend Huang Jihao was severely injured, and his life was hanging by a thread. Fortunately, a mighty figure saved him. Your grand disciple Feng Liang has left the mortal world. Your grand disciple Morong Qi has awakened the mystical power of his previous life. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianxian has cultivated the Azure Thunder Sacred Body. He has torn apart the sky and shocked the world. Zhou Fan, Huang Jihao, Feng Liang, Morong Qi, and Ji Xianxian each had their own fortuitous encounters. They could be called the 5 main characters. Hanju checked Feng Liang's profile. It was still there, which meant that he didn't die and had only left this mortal world. In the decades that Hanju had cultivated, they had their own excitement and opportunities. Hanju read for a while before returning to the Khanate cave abode and continued cultivating. Several months later, an old friend came to visit. West Abyss State 9 Dragon Sect Master, Wei Yuan. Visit Light Novel World. For a better experience his true identity was the sect master of the Raincoat sect, Huang Zuantian. If Hanju hadn't given Huang Zuantian a chance, he would have died long ago. It was even more impossible for him to possess Wei Yuan and become the 9 Dragons sect master, who was stronger than the Raincoat sect. Huang Zuantian found Taoist 9 cauldrons and explained his intentions. He was surrendering. Taoist 9 cauldrons was shocked. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect had never targeted the 9 Dragons sect. Why did this sect master surrender? Was he in trouble? Previously, the Bloodfire Heavenly Sect couldn't defeat the Formless Sect, so they joined the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. After some communication, Taoist Nine Cauldrons finally believed that the Nine Dragons sect really wanted to join them. Being cautious, Taoist Nine Cauldrons said that he wanted to discuss with the elders and let Huang Zuantian be a guest for a period of time. Huang Zuantian had no objections and went to visit Hanju. Hanju let him in. After entering the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, Huang Zuantian was shocked. The spirit chi here was too. Seeing Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the others, Huang Zuantian had a strong urge. He wanted to be Hanju's slave. Huang Zuantian was very excited to see Hanju again. He was currently at the second level of the Void Amalgamation realm. Compared to hundreds of years ago, he had only broken through by one minor realm. Hanju changed the topic and asked, "How have you been all these years?" Back then, Huang Zuantian had saved Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog, and had even been severely injured. He had always remembered this. Huang Zuantian saw his smile and was no longer nervous. He began to describe his experiences over the years. Dao Comprehension Sword listened quietly. After listening for a long time, Hanju finally understood his intentions. Huang Zuantian couldn't withstand the pressure of the Nine Dragons sect. He no longer wanted to be the sect master, and wanted to focus on cultivation. If you want to move to my side, you have to make contributions. When the Nine Dragons sect joins the Jade Pure Sacred sect, you have to make contributions to our sect. When you become a respected senior in the sect, I will allow you to move in, Hanju muttered. Huang Zuantian was overjoyed, and immediately agreed. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience, the two of them chatted for a while more before Huang Zuantian left. Hanju fell into deep thought. As the spirit chi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain became denser, it would attract more people in the future. He had to control the scale to prevent the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain from being crowded and thinning the spirit chi. It would be good if I can attract more people with great providence. At that time, I won't teach them personally and let the disciples do it. Hanju thought silently. He didn't have connections all over the world, but he could create them. When the powerful Monkey King embarked on the journey to the west, he still had to rely on his connections in the heavenly court to overcome all obstacles. Of course, all of this had to happen without affecting Hanju's cultivation progress. Above the sea of clouds, countless bolts of lightning struck the same spot. It was a person. Ji Xianxian. Ji Xianxian sat in the air. His body was surrounded by lightning. His black hair twisted around like a group of snakes. At this moment, it was as if he was possessed by an immortal. He exuded an unparalleled aura. In the distance, more than 10 figures stood on a cloud. They were all the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manner. Unbelievable. He really cultivated the Azure Thunder sacred body. He can be considered to have surpassed all the past geniuses of the heavenly immortal manner. He's unprecedented. What a terrifying aura. Even a Mahayana realm cultivator can't withstand a single strike from him. The #1 cultivator in the world. I wonder when he will choose to ascend. As the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manner were still discussing, a huge eye appeared in the thundercloud above Ji Xianxian's head, looking down at him. At the same time, in another area of the sky, a rolling sea of clouds formed on the ground. 2 majestic stone pillars stood erect, with 2 white dragons wrapped around each pillar. Below them, 2 rows of silver-armored heavenly soldiers stood, looking extraordinarily mighty. At the top of the 2 stone pillars was a golden jade plaque with 3 words carved on it. East Heavenly Gate. A bolt of lightning pierced through the sea of clouds and shot towards the plaque. Updated from Light Novel World. A heavenly soldier immediately brandished his spear and dispersed it. Read at Wuxia World. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.